All right, there you go. Keep on going, friends. We welcome you all this evening. We got a lot of important work to do, and we are so happy to have you all with us today. Um, just for those of you who are going to be listening to me for a little while during this incredible evening, yes, I do have birds. I have cats, and I'm a cat lady and a bird lady, so you will hear my birds talking in the background because apparently the only place we could find for them is right here where I'm working. I'm going to actually pass the mic right now. I just wanted to know where everybody's from because I'm from Brooklyn and I'm nosy. But I'm going to pass this to Morgan, who's going to kind of open up this night for us officially, introduce you all to the team, and then I'll be right back. So Morgan, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you guys are joining us tonight. Just want to introduce myself real quick. I'm Morgan Fowler. I am a revert Muslim from West Virginia. Yes, from West Virginia, where the mountains are high and the Wi-Fi is a little bit questionable. But we do exist here. So, and it is not Virginia, it is West Virginia. They are two different places. So just to clear that up before we get started. So how did we kind of get here today? This all started when I was listening to Benjamin Netanyahu address Congress in his disastrous speech. My blood started boiling. Instead of deciding to doom scroll on Twitter like I sometimes do, I called up my friends and I said, we're going to do something crazy and I need your help. And they didn't bat an eye. They might not answer my calls for 2 months after this because we've been on the phone for 4 days nonstop trying to get this together. But we've brought together this massive day of organizing around such an important cause. And I'm so excited to see all of you here. So many wonderful faces. We're going to get to highlight some really wonderful candidates tonight. So none of this would be possible without the people that you're looking at on the screen right now. We're all here because we believe in the power of collective action. This is not just a moment. This is a movement. It's powered by people like you who refuse to stand by and let injustice go unanswered. And so I want to introduce my right-hand man who is really probably sick and tired of me after this week, Mo Maraca.
Thanks, Morgan. Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Mo Maraca. I'm a data and digital strategist, and I've been in DC and in politics for about 20 years. And, when I start, and Linda can tell you this, and Morgan, and people have been in this business for a long time, not Lexi, because she's young and still got the energy. But when you start, you're like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you think you're going to change the world. I'm coming come change DC. I work for President Obama. We're going to take on the world. And then all these years later, you're like, what am I doing here? Lesser of two evils. This year has been particularly hard. I can't count how many congressional, Senate, and gubernatorial campaigns I've worked on. I've watched a lot of those people that I helped put in office react. I'm Palestinian, and I've seen how they've acted and the statements they've made towards Gaza, and it's really been heartbreaking. But I watch people like Rashida Tlaib, and I remember the spirit of my people is unbreakable. I watch people like Linda and Lexi and the unstoppable energy they bring, and things like this happen, and I'm reminded that there's a lot of good people out there. They're not Palestinians that see us as deserving of life and liberty and the rights that every other human deserves. So I'm really grateful that all of you could join us today. And I'm very, very grateful for all the elected officials who have taken such a brave stance, although it's been difficult and they've been attacked and targeted for it. So I'm really grateful for all of them. Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, Rashida, of course, and Ilhan, and a ton of other candidates we have. I'm very grateful for all of you, and I appreciate you, and I will be there fighting for you, just like you've been fighting for us. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. I appreciate that.
Hey, y'all. So grateful to be on this call with you. I think sharing similar sentiments to Mo and Linda and Morgan, and reiterating, I am the young one that still feels like there's so much love and hope in the world, especially being on this call. And I think a few days out, Cory Bush's is a primary coming up on August 6th, and seeing all the atrocities happening, I'm actually a little overwhelmed by the number of people on this call. I think there's just so much work that we actually need to do. And Mo, I think you kind of made me a little emotional because you called me young, and I believe that there's so much good in the world. And I think me, Morgan, Mo, Hus, Linda, we literally planned this a few days ago after seeing Netanyahu deny the death of Palestinians in Congress and watching our elected officials literally cheer this man on while he's saying these exact words, being Palestinian myself. And there was so much rage that developed within me. And so just seeing that we have reached our maximum capacity, and folks, we are trying to upgrade our account right now to get more people on this call. It keeps me going. I think folks like Morgan and definitely people like Linda doesn't know how much of a role she's played in my humanity and my inspiration. So I'm just grateful for everybody on this call. I'm glad we were able to pull this off in less than 48 hours. If you all saw the text messages and the lack of sleep, you would understand the pain that we went through. But just, again, so grateful for everybody here. I'm grateful for the work that you all are doing, whether it's mobilizing with Uncommitted or mobilizing with our candidates that are on this call or mobilizing for a ceasefire. Again, as a Palestinian, I have never seen mobilization like this before, and I do believe within our lifetime we will see a free Palestine. And I think that it starts with our elected officials. You know, I'm so inspired. I'll quickly end here with the race that Jamal Bowman held. You know, he didn't come out strong, but he did come out strong. I mean, he didn't win the race, but there's a quote he had of the many beats the money. And I believe that the many does beat the money, and this showcases that. But I do think that there's also opportunity where we can give in very, very clear and precise ways. And the candidates that we have on this call are clear and precise ways to mobilize our movement to build an anti-AIPAC wall. So again, grateful for everybody here, and I will pass it actually over to my sister, Linda, who will kick us off to start the evening with our amazing panelists.
Thank you so much, Lexi. I'm very honored to be here tonight to help host the first half of this really, I'm just going to get right to it. I'm from New York, and I'm just going to tell it to you like it is. I'm not going to lie to you here. We're here to raise some money. We know we have it. We have people who are champions who are running for office across this country, and we're all we got. And if we're expecting people to be bold, to be courageous, and to be there for the people, then that means the people need to support them. There's no way around this. If you don't support the people that are running, who are standing on business, then we can't expect those people to go to the halls of Congress, to the halls of the gubernatorial, to the state houses. We need to support our people. And today we have an incredible group of people who are running for office, different levels of office, all across this country. These are people who come out of our movements. These are people who've been talking about social justice, economic justice. These are people who want to alleviate the economic struggles of the American people. These are people who believe in peace and diplomacy over war. These are people who want to see children in our communities thrive, who want to support public education. These are people who are aligned with our values, and they want to make our communities better. And there are also people who tell the truth. And oftentimes in politics, one of the critiques in politics is that a lot of the politicians are liars. They're corrupt. They're people for their own self-interest. And we can't keep saying that forever. At some point, we have to take responsibility to then put ourselves in the situation electing people who are truth tellers and who are going to tell us the truth, and also who are sometimes going to make decisions that we may not necessarily agree with, but they're going to come and talk to us about it. We're going to have an open door policy, and that's the kind of elected officials that we want. So we're here to do some business tonight. So I want people to listen, to lean in this moment. You know, Lexi shared this with you, so did Mo. We are Palestinians, and we are heartbroken. And I am in awe of Palestinians who can get up every day and organize, who can lean into the political process, to believe still somehow that the system could still work for us as we watch our people being slaughtered every day with US taxpayer dollars. There's still something that tells us that this country still has potential, that our country still has the potential. And the potential is all of you. We know there are good people in this country that are fed up with what's been going on, not just in the last 10 months, but for decades, both domestic and, of course, abroad. And so we want to become the majority. We want to show our power. We want people not to continue to ignore our voices. So that's why we're here tonight. And we're hoping to be able to tell a good story, a historic story. We want to be able to leave this call tonight and say, oh, $300,000, what are you talking about, 300,000? That's nothing. We are going to surpass our goal tonight. And what we're doing tonight is that with all the money that's raised through the link that's going to be shared in the the chat box, is that that money gets split up between the candidates that you hear today. It doesn't go to me, it doesn't go to Lexi, it doesn't go to any of these organizers here. It goes directly to these campaigns to help them with postcards, to help them with mailers, to help them with whatever it is that they need to build capacity for, some of them for just the next few days during their election time. And so that's why we're here. And we're not just here to talk. We're not just here to listen to some inspirational human beings, some of whom are our friends. We're here to do some business. And we're gonna get started. And so Cory, I'd love for you to share a little bit about the pledge before we go to our first elected official.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Linda, for kicking this off, and for all of our hosts. I just really humbled to be here. All of us are here tonight because we want an immediate end to Israel's genocide in Gaza. We want a permanent ceasefire. We want an end to the apartheid. And we know that one of the biggest barriers to that outcome is AIPAC and the political influence that they are exerting over our lawmakers and the rest of the pro-Israel lobby, frankly. But we all know that AIPAC has spent tens of millions of dollars to defeat candidates who want justice for Palestine, and they're planning to spend tens of millions more. We also saw this incredible strength of the uncommitted movement and the political force that we were able to exert, and the clear message that we all sent. It said that justice for Gaza is on the ballot this year, and you have to commit to that if you want our vote. So we want to exert that influence to help dismantle AIPAC's political power. So we are launching tonight the No AIPAC Cash Pledge. And here's how it works. If you're a candidate who's running for office, then you're invited to sign and affirm that you will refuse AIPAC cash. And if you're a voter, we are inviting you to sign and affirm that you won't vote for candidates who are funded by AIPAC. And it's really that simple. So we'll be dropping links in the chat here in just a moment where you can sign onto that if you so wish. But that's really that's the crux of it. We want to show that there is real political power behind this movement, and to use that to start dismantling the lobby that is continuing to enable and empower this genocide.
Thank you, Cory. Listen, this is simple, my friends. We need to get this right-wing money out of politics, and that's really our goal. We want a democracy that is funded by the people, that is something that is influenced by the everyday American people, not by dark interest or special interest groups. And it's not, for me, it's AIPAC is one, of course, when it comes to Palestine as a Palestinian, one of the most destructive forces in politics, but so are the pharmaceutical industry, so is the fossil fuel industry. And we need to continue to overturn Citizens United. It has to be part of our work. And as organizers, we have to start looking at things like campaign finance reform. I think because people think it's boring to talk about that, but it's actually really important that we start moving our issues towards campaign finance reform, because at the end of the day, it's the crux of democracy. If we allow special interest groups to continue to play in our races, number one, we lose good people in our communities who are running for office or lose office or can't win office. And it's very destructive to what we're trying to do to bring justice to our communities. And so it is with great pleasure that we start this conversation with someone who is running for United States Senate in the great state of Michigan. Many of you people know that I am a New Yorker, but everybody knows, and people ask me all the time, they say, do you have a house in Michigan? Because I be in Michigan more than I be in New York sometimes, because I love Michigan, and I've been organizing in the Arab and Muslim community in the state of Michigan for the last 14 years. And I was so excited to see Hill Harper running for U.S. Senate in Michigan. And many of you know Hill Harper as an actor, but he's actually also a lawyer and a union organizer. And he has been someone that has been speaking to the everyday needs of the American people. He would be, it would be incredible to send a Black U.S. Senator to the United States Senate. I think he is someone who's going to stand on business. He's going to speak the language of the people. He's going to bring back things that the people of Michigan need. Michigan for a long time has been an ignored state. And oftentimes people have left the people of Detroit. We've watched the water, the Detroit water crisis, the Flint water crisis. And we need somebody that's going to go fight for the people of Michigan. Many of you know the story. Hill Harper, including another candidate who's no longer in the race, were approached by AIPAC. They told him, hey, we got you if you come out of that race and come run against our dear sister, Rashida Tlaib. And it takes real courage. It takes boldness and bravery to stand up to these powers that be and say, no, I will not do that. I'm running for the United States Senate because, number one, I'm worthy and qualified to run, but also I'm not going to run against an effective member of Congress who's doing her job in Washington, D.C. So it was with great pleasure, and I hope a lot of enthusiasm for all of you to welcome our dear brother, Hill Harper. And I'm going to, as they say, I'm going to say this because I'm speaking it into the future. I want to call United States Senator Hill Harper, because I believe in this from the deepest of my heart. And I hope that one day we're going to be at your inauguration and we're going to make history together. So welcome, Hill Harper.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. You know, just seeing Hoos and Mo and Morgan and, you know, Lexi, seeing you get emotional made me emotional. It threw me off. It threw me off of what I was gonna, you know, bring some heat, and now I'm all emotional. And so
Still bring the heat. It's good.
yeah, I'm gonna bring. So let's, you know, I want to talk about a couple things. It's just a thank you for having me, and you know, these issues I look through the lens of being a father of an 8-year-old. And I also look through it through the lens of the fact that Detroit and Gaza are literally the same size, 148 square miles. And I think that if all of us sit back, and particularly when we look to our left and look at destruction, and imagine that here where I'm sitting right now, looking out the window right now, and look to the right and destruction. And then start counting people and saying 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this person's dead or injured. 5, 6, 7, 8. This child, this person. We can't disassociate ourselves from our heart. You know, one of my favorite words in the English language is the word courage. And if you know anything about the etymology of the word courage, it's not the antithesis of fear. What it is core, your heart. If you speak French, you know that. And this conversation has to come out of our hearts. It has to be about humanity. It has to be about human rights. It has to be about lives. Lives lost, taken, injured. It has to be about that. And if we're not looking at things through that lens and through that filter, what are we doing? What are we doing as a potential or elected officials if the lens isn't humanity, if the lens isn't life, if the lens isn't attempting to help and save the most vulnerable? And then I don't know what we're doing if that's not what we're doing. And, you know, Linda just mentioned this, and I talk about it all the time. You know, I went to Harvard Law School, and one of my classmates there was Barack Obama. And let me say this, you know, he took 7 years off in between undergrad and grad school. I went straight, so I'm not as old as him. But so let's be clear. But the fact is this: many people think that the reaction to the Obama presidency was the Tea Party. I think that was the beard. I think the true reaction was Citizens United in 2010, and the idea that unfettered, unlimited dark money can control outcomes of elections. The idea that corporations are people, that money is speech. This concept has disassociated, particularly on a federal level and particularly in Congress, our representation from the people. So the idea of power maintenance and the idea of manipulating outcomes and making sure, the fact that AIPAC just last week put out an ad bragging that 90 out of 90 of their endorsed candidates had won in this cycle. Think about that. When we think about our current campaign finance laws and we think about Citizens United, it is a level of corruption to be able to say an individual or entity can donate unlimited dark money to influence the outcome of a democratic process and election. Are you kidding me? But that's what we have. We have a system that is cancerous. We have a system that is creating this measure of injustice. And whether, you know, Linda said it, whether it's big oil, big pharma, whether it's Department of Defense contractors, or whether it's AIPAC, whether it's the NRA or the gun lobby, we can go down the line and see direct dark money influence. My opponent took a check, max out check from Harlan Crow, and didn't give it back. Why do you not give that back? You don't give it back because somebody like Harlan Crow makes you take a max out check. So when they give you millions of dollars in dark money, you can't deny their existence and act like, oh, I don't even know who that is. This is a cancer that we have to start electing candidates that are willing to say, we have to solve this. And I'll say this. James Clear said something that I just want to convey, and I believe it's true. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And if we continue to allow systemic corruption, we're going to continue to see death and destruction, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's environmental injustice, whether it's on the streets of the east side of Detroit, where 2 young people were just killed last week and 19 others injured. Death and violence, whether it's happened on the east side of Detroit or in Gaza or in the Congo or wherever, is death, murder, and destruction. All lives are valuable, and we have to fight for each one in the same way. And that's the journey. And so with that, there's a lot of people to get to, and I'll just finish by saying the way we fight back is to win, y'all. It can't be performative. It can't be attaboys. It can't be you ran a good race. You can't be, yeah, man, you really gave it to him. You got the message out. And even my dog agrees. My son's dog, but he agrees. So it can't be that. We have to win elections. We have to get in the seats. We have to have a seat at the table. And if we don't have that, we don't have a voice. So we have to win. We have to win. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to our dear brother Hill. For folks on here, when we first started this call, I saw a lot of y'all Michiganders were rolling deep here. So not only do we need everybody, I don't care if you live in California or you live in Florida, drop that donation. It's going to be shared with Mr. Hill, but also those of you from Michigan, we need you to volunteer. We need door knockers. We need phone bankers. We need people on the street, because the way you get the people and you get the voters is by doing the work. And so if you are a Michigan resident, make sure that you go to Hill Harper's website and you sign up to volunteer for a shift. Our community is 100% behind Hill, and we hope that Hill is going to be our next U.S. Senator from the state of Michigan. So thank you, Hill. There's just so folks who are here, welcome, and we have more folks that have joined us. And because it's in a webinar format, you don't actually get to see how many people are here, but there are hundreds watching on Twitch, and just on this webinar right here, there's 586 people. Actually, the number goes up. It's 587 now. So we are having a good night tonight. And we've already raised over $22,000 in the first, literally, we've only really started this about 20 minutes ago. And we got to keep it moving, my friends. This is not going to work without you. Tonight, remember, your donation is going to multiple candidates here. We're splitting it. We need to keep going. If we can get, we're trying to get to $300,000 tonight. If we have 500 people, I know some of you, I'm looking at the names of the participants. There are some of you here who are friends, our family. I know what you do for a living. I know you can afford to give $1,000, to give $500, to give $1,500. I know you can do it. Some of you can only give $25, and that's fine. Every dollar is welcome, because we know that you are all people who believe in our cause. And I will never believe that those who support apartheid, those who support this divisiveness, those who support the genocide against the Palestinian people have more money than us, or are willing to invest more than we are. We are the people of justice. We are the people who believe in freedom for all people. We are the people that believe in the sanctity of all life. And so we have to show that we are willing to put our money where our mouth is too. So tonight, we're trying to get to $300,000. Send the link to your friends, copy and paste it from the chat, and send and say, hey, we're trying to get to $300,000 tonight. Can you give $100? Can you give $50? I'm telling you, friends, this is worth every penny. We need to keep these people in office, and some of them we need to send to Congress, to send to the United States Senate. This is our job. It is our responsibility. And so I'm going to go to the next speaker right now until we get our dear brother, Congressman Carson back. So I'm going to do it a better way by looking at my panelists here and seeing who of my panelists is here right now. And then we're going to go to them. So of course I have here, I'm going to introduce to you another dear friend of mine, and I'm grateful to live at a time where, you know, back in the days, politics was so far from me. You would see people in the streets saying hi at the fair, or you would see, you know, you would go to the local news station and watch your member of Congress or city council member speak, and you always thought they were so far away, like they were someone so elevated. And then as I grew up and I watched people in our own communities, my own friends running for office, it has been just an incredible experience to watch. Now, a lot of people are focused on different states, and sometimes we forget that there are states like the state of Washington, and people think Washington is this really deep blue state and no one really pays attention to the state of Washington. I have a dear friend that I've known for over a decade who's running for Congress in Congressional District 8. He's running against the woman named Kim Schreier. Kim Schreier is literally a woman who has voted to send more weapons to the state of Israel. Let's just be clear, she's a Democrat. She is someone who literally voted for a piece of legislation that basically does not want to honor the numbers of the dead coming out of Gaza. Like, imagine people are already being slaughtered and you don't even want to honor the not the names, the numbers of people. They basically want to reject numbers coming out of Gaza, denying us our people and the humanity of our people, not only in life, but in death. This is an outrageous woman that needed somebody to challenge her. And challenging people in Congress is not easy, as you know. They go after your family. You have to sacrifice your time, your life, your money. Your house becomes your campaign office. Like, it's a lot going on. And so I am so happy and so honored, and I'll be there actually this weekend in the state of Washington to introduce to you my dear friend, organizer, activist, head of the CARE chapter, the Washington CARE chapter, my dear friend, Imraan Siddiqi. Welcome, Imraan.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Linda. You know, to have you as somebody who's a friend and mentor, somebody who's pushed me from day one, has really been an honor, and it's really, I think, catapulted us to the front lines. Before I get started, I have somebody with me that I want to speak to you all just for a minute. It's my nephew, Omar, who on his father's side is from Gaza, and a lot of their family members have been impacted by this. And I want Omar just to speak to you guys for just a little bit, okay?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you. So, as you know, my name is Omar. I'm a Palestinian American. I'm born and raised here in the United States. A little bit about myself. My family is originally from Khan Yunis inside of Gaza. So our family there was informed that their city was no longer a so-called safe zone, and they had to be forced to move to Rafah in the south, which also turned out to not be so safe. And after living in tents for 6 months, over 60 family members of ours were slaughtered. Our family sent the nephew of my grandmother to go check on the home that they had in Khan Yunis. He returned and informed the family that not only their home, but the entire neighborhood was flattened. All you could see was mountains of rubble around you. Thankfully, my grandmother could visit her childhood home one last time in January of 2023. So all back to the point, Imraan will focus on keeping our tax dollars here, investing in our future rather than sending them to foreign countries who openly commit genocide. We need to be supporting candidates who believe in strengthening our community first. It is my honor to say that Imraan is my uncle, and I have always known him to be active in supporting human rights and making this world a just place. So from when I was 12 years old, attending the CARE banquets, watching the executive director, who also happened to be my uncle, he was speaking to the people, and now he's taking it to the next level, inshallah. And this is all the reason that I stand with Imraan Siddiqi. Thank you.
Thank you. So people ask me, you know, what is my why? Why am I running for Congress? This is my why right here. This is my nephew who's come up with, along with my sister, from Arizona, to come and knock doors, to be out there, to make sure that we get elected to Congress. Linda mentioned the opponent that I'm running against, Kim Schreier. And if you look at the rundown of some of the worst votes in terms of the Democratic Party in Congress, Kim Schreier, unfortunately, is on the wrong end of many of these things, on the wrong side of history. She's voted to censure our sister Rashida. She's voted to defund UNRWA. She's voted to challenge the death toll numbers, to challenge, to label the protests by our brave students as being anti-Semitic, and the list goes on. And as we've mentioned, dark money, as our brother Hill said, dark money is infecting our system right now. Tons and tons of money. She's received over $300,000 just from AIPAC alone. We cannot continue to allow these folks to continue buying these types of elections. The thing is that when I go and talk to the people in my district, there's so many inequities that exist. We're in Washington State where the housing inequality and housing prices are skyrocketing out of control. For somebody who works in the nonprofit field, like myself and my wife, that's a major issue. For somebody who's sending a child to college this fall, getting those bills, the cost of education is skyrocketing out of control. The healthcare system, I just had a son who needed to go to the doctor and they said, yeah, come back in about a week or 10 days. We don't have the best healthcare system in the world. Why are our tax dollars going to fund bombs that are committing a genocide against innocent people overseas? And the numbers are skyrocketing as high as maybe 186,000 when this is all done. This is a genocide. And when I go knock on doors of normal everyday people in the district, they don't want their tax dollars going to fund this genocide. Most people care about the education of their children. And the fact is that schools are closing within the district. You know, people are having healthcare bills that are impacting their lives where they may have to go bankrupt. If somebody gets laid off from the tech industry here in Seattle, a lot of times they have to leave the state because they're not going to be able to sustain a house in the district. And so I really found myself, you know, just by chance, I ended up moving into this district in 2020, and we were told to vote for Kim Schreier because, you know, the brown community, which is 35% of the major cities in that district, that was the deciding vote that got her into Congress. And we were told that she was going to stand up for us when she got elected. But what did we see when she got elected? Unfortunately, she didn't respond to these calls for meetings. As the executive director of the CARE chapter over here during my day job, we tried to set up those meetings. We sent those action alerts, call for a ceasefire, listen to our people. Our brother Basim's on the call here. He's lost over 100 of his family members in this bombing campaign. And so many of our community members have lost dozens and dozens and scores of family members. So for me, it was a no-brainer choice. I am somebody who, you know, entered at the last second. So we definitely need your help in terms of donating to this campaign. Thankfully, you know, with the grace of God and the support of the community, we've been able to raise over $400,000, but our opponent has $4.9 million in the bank. So we definitely need that support for all the candidates that are here. And this is not just about a singular run. I'll close with this because we're building a movement here. Just like many of you have said, there's no going back to the way things were in 2009, 2010, 2014, 2021. We're building a movement, and they're seeing the strength of our community coming together. So with that, I'll close because we have so many great speakers here. But thank you so much, Linda and Lexi and Morgan and so many others. And I'll talk to you later. Salams.
Thank you, Imraan, and thank you, Umar, so much for sharing your story. And as Imraan said, this is our why for why we're doing this, the why that we get up every day, even as Palestinian Americans who are literally heartbroken every day, disappointed in our country and the way that the United States government has turned its back on our people. But we won't turn our back on our people, and we won't turn our back, Umar, on your family. And this is why we are going to support Imraan. And inshallah, Imraan emerges from this primary election. And we can say that because of Gaza, in honor of the people of Gaza, we want to send compassionate people who see their sanctity of their life, but also not just people who want to see the people of Gaza survive, but who want to see the people of Gaza free and the people of Palestine free. So thank you, Imraan, and thank you, Umar, for being here today. Imraan said something really important, and I'm going to say this here. I work in the nonprofit too, and for anybody that works in the nonprofit, you all know that we don't come to the nonprofit to get rich, my friends. I came here to the nonprofit world because I wanted to make change in the world, and a lot of us who are in this work, that's why we're here, and we are willing to give up the luxuries of life for this. And so I don't have a lot of money to give. In fact, when Imraan was running, I was shocked at myself for how much I was willing to invest in Imraan, going into my savings, because I believed so much in what he was doing in that moment. And so today, I know not everybody on this call are people of means, but I'm going to donate $500 to this cause right now. And for people in the nonprofit who work in the nonprofit, know, for us, that's a lot of money for us in the nonprofit. And so I'm asking people here to match me. Again, I have children in college. I have mortgages and electric bills, and in New York, we pay water bills here. Like there's a lot going on. And I am investing $500 today in this cause. And I'm asking people to come into the chat and see if you can match me. I already got somebody right now. I got Zakid who's matching me in the chat. And if you could do $500, please just go in there and match me here for $500. Mo is matching me here.
We have a donator. We have a donator who said that they would match the next $10,000. So if we get to $10,000, we have a donator who will match.
So match. Let's get to the 10,000, which will get us another 10,000. So I mean, so we got. I just want to say this because we have so many incredible people. Sam Rasul, Muhammad Hafid, Tiffany. Thank you, Tiffany. We got. My goodness, you guys are moving so fast for me. Shamsuddin, Mo, Maraka. Who else I got here? Muhammad. We got Wissam. Werde, we got so many for we're trying to get to 10,000 so we could get another 10,000. So that's 500 from Nadia. Casey, thank you so much. My goodness, you people are so amazing. Monica, we got Fatma. I already know who Fatma S is. That's our Fatma S, Lexi, just so you know. Melissa. Yeah, so Melissa's, like I said, folks, I'm asking people to match right now, but don't feel like if you gave only 100 or 50 or you can do less, that means that your donation is less worthy than ours. I just wanted to make sure that I can get my people that I know that can do that. Some of you have given $50, $18. I see someone here. Elizabeth said she gave 200. Arsalan Khan said he's going to match us twice, which is $1,000. Look at that. Kashif is matching and saying that he's already given so many times this week to things, but he believes. Erin, whatever all you got is all we need, my friend. So that 250 from Kirsten. Zach gave us 250, 200, 50 from Sada. And Diane just sent us another $500. Oh my goodness, Basil, thank you so much. Basil gave us 500 and he's now giving us another $500. Thank you. I know that, and he's really, I don't even know who Basil is, but I just want to say thank you, brother. I've been feeling so down, and to see people say nice things to me while the rest of the internet is saying bad things to me all day today. Oh my God, Ali said, Linda, I have 1,000 mainly because you're here. No, you have 1,000 because you're a wonderful human being that believes. $500 from Philadelphia, Kerry. This is amazing. This is so beautiful, my friend. And like I said, this is going to incredible people. Like, remember who we're investing in, human beings that are in incredible humans. And I'm about to get to one who I introduced before, gave him a whole beautiful introduction, but he happened not to be here when I said all the nice things about him. But I'm gonna say like one more nice thing about him because he's here now. We have a lot of veterans, I would call them, you know, the OGs in Congress. You know, a lot of us talk about the squad, and we love the squad, and we love our Rashida, and we love our Summer Lee, and we love our Cory, we love our Jamals, but people have to remember we've had OGs before the squad. And I'm grateful that we were able to send more members of Congress to give him even more courage than he already have. And it was a lot, my friends. He is from the great state of Indiana. He's a friend to so many communities. He's our brother from the Muslim community. He's not a friend of the Muslims. He is a Muslim, and he is our brother. Please help me welcome the great congressman from the great state of Indiana, Andre Carson.
Salam alaikum, Sister Linda, my sister from the planet of Brooklyn. I love you dearly. I met Sister Linda before I was a member. We traveled to New York, and when we went to Brooklyn, Sister Linda came in with an army of Muslims, and she's a force of nature. I said, this sister right here has the kind of electricity and the magnetic power that moves me. And she's been a friend, she's been a confidant, she's always kept it real with me, and I love her dearly for it. Sister Rashida sent me a text. Rashida's my other sister. She said, you have to get on the call. I said, they told me 9. But I know how the community works, and that's okay. I'm glad to know that Sister Summer Lee is on the call, and Sister Cory, and my sister Ilhan, and I see the mayor, Brother Marcus Muhammad. I got to give him an original salute. But as Sister Linda said, you know, some of you know me. I've been in many of your homes or many of your relatives' homes, and and restaurants throughout the years, and myself and Brother Keith Ellison. And I'm so encouraged by the money we've been able to raise. Thank you, Brother Ali, the money that we've been able to raise for candidates. Now, I have to remind you that your brother, Salim, Amir, Brother Andre, the nephew of Imam Umar al-Khattab, he needs support. I've gotten attacked with a $250,000 investment recently, and I don't see any money coming Brother Andre's way. I got to keep it real. I need your support. I love what we're doing for my brothers and sisters in the squad. I see them as the X-Men in Congress, but I'm a bit like Wolverine. I love the squad. That's my crew. I'm the DJ. But I need your support too. Indiana is a different market. It's a different state. The dynamics are quite different. Ex-women, thank you. The dynamics are quite different. So we need money, especially in a presidential race when we know the media rates are triple or double in some markets. You know, this call is so important. We know that Israeli forces have killed tens of thousands of Palestinian brothers and sisters, men, women, children. And from the start of this, I've been consistent in my calls for ceasefire now. And, you know, it's very difficult sometimes to have hope. Our community has mobilized, and people often say, well, what gives you hope? And my answer is all of you, by Allah's grace. This movement is about people of good, people who choose love over hate. This movement is about bravery over apathy. This movement is about you. It's about us. It's about our community. This movement is about rejecting AIPAC's influence, but we have to understand, as I've said for years, AIPAC has the blueprint. AIPAC has the blueprint. Don't hate. We're forming movements that are shaking up the political establishment. My fear is that they don't deduce our movement to just protests. We don't leverage our voting bloc in a way that still causes them to gain seats and retain seats. And they'll say, oh, they're just going to protest. They're just going to post on social media. They don't have any real political leverage. That's my fear. But when I'm on this call and I see the generals on this call, and I see the strong sisters and brothers in our community, and I see more people like Brother Imraan and other people running for public office, our work is not in vain. Like my dear sisters in the Muslim caucus, there's only 3 of us right now. I've been on the receiving end of consistent death threats, hateful comments, and vile things that have been said about me and are continually said about me. But like you, I'm not discouraged. I'm not wavering my support for Palestine, though I have lost supporters, donors, and friends because of it. I'm more resolute than ever. And, you know, it's easy to feel discouraged. We have to continue talking about Palestine, but we can't forget the Congo. We cannot forget Sudan. We cannot forget Tigray. We cannot forget our brothers and sisters in the Americas. And this year, we saw a very magnificent thing happen. Sister Linda does my panel often in DC for the Congressional Black Caucus, and she's always a rock star when she shows up. And we saw her plant the seeds last year. Almost 60 people in Congress voted against more funding for Israel's bombardment of our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Now, many of you know, just as well as I do, that that's a big moment, not only in American history, that's a big moment in congressional history. It used to almost be inconceivable for that kind of thing to happen. Brothers and sisters, it wasn't an accident. It's because we have not, and we will not, let our voices be silent. We've seen what they've done to Sister Rashida. We've seen what they've done to Sister Ilhan. We're seeing the attacks against Sister Cori. We've seen the attacks against Summer Lee. We saw what happened with Brother Jamal. You know, this bipartisan opposition to another blank check for the Israeli military is a sign that the tide is shifting. I happen to be leading a bill. Some of you all know Sister Diala on our staff. She's a rising star on the Hill and in our office. She led the largest Muslim protest on Capitol Hill, Muslim staffers. Sister Aisha Ahmed, who was with Engage, just joined us. I heard Wael has a hit out on me, but he'll be okay because we have hitters too. But I love him dearly, but we have Muslims who we're cultivating and we're sending to boot camps. We have to produce future Linda Sarsours, even though she's one of one. We have to produce more Sister Rashidas, though she's one of one. We have to produce more Sister Ilhans, though she's one of one. And we have to produce more Keith Ellisons and Brother Andre, the George Foreman, LL Cool J, rock lookalike. We need more. We need stronger. In the next few years, we should have a 20, 30 member Muslim caucus that will really turn the tide in Congress. So when I say I stand for justice, I mean justice everywhere. But the best way for us as an Ummah to send a message on what we will and what we won't accept is that we support and give our most sacred gift, our vote and our money, to show that we're here to stay and we have leverage. You're talking to a Black man, a Muslim, a pro-Palestine member of Congress from the great state of Indiana. I was never a shoe-in for this. My grandmother, who was in politics, passed the year prior. She never got to see me. I first ran for school board. I lost that race. They brought up my high school transcripts. They brought up the fact that I was charged with battery on a police officer, yet I got in law enforcement. I was arrested at a mosque at the age of 17 because we were being surveilled by law enforcement. It's been a long journey, but with your help, and because of your help, even when people were hedging their bets and didn't want to support me, I went to the Muslim community first. I met with Dalia Mahmoud and other brothers and sisters in Ohio. We went to New York. I met the General Sister Linda, and the movement hasn't stopped since. We don't want to go anywhere. We want to multiply our numbers. Brothers and sisters, we can turn the tide. Look at our allyship. The allies, the Jewish brothers and sisters who have been leading these sit-ins and protests across the country. That's how leverage works. We can demand decisions that are worthy of the land of the free and the home of the brave because we're here, we belong where decisions are being made, and we will never stop, inshallah, taking up space. Jazakallah khair. I'm your brother, and I love you. Keep up the great work.
We love you, Congressman. And yes, we're going to talk to you on the side because we want to make sure, you know, we still love you too. And we're going to make sure you get a couple of extra dollars from through some other stuff that we're going to do somewhere over here. So we got you on that one.
Thank you. I see you stand, Russell. Salam alaikum. Mo Moraka. All right.
We appreciate you, brother Congressman. And thank you for all that you do for our communities. And we don't forget, like I said, we won't forget the OGs. But you know, OGs are fabulous, but we also, in addition to the OGs, get excited by our new members of Congress and those who have stood on business, bold, brave, courageous. Our dear sister, Congresswoman Summer Lee, from one of the greatest cities in the country, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, Congresswoman Summer has been a staunch supporter of the Palestinian people. And one of the most beautiful things about Summer, other than she's fighting for working class people, she's fighting for communities of color, she's fighting for those who oftentimes don't feel seen or heard in Congress. All of that is true. In addition to that, watching her sisterhood with our dear sister, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, has been absolutely inspirational to me. It moves me to tears to see the ways in which Summer has stood up for Rashida, being the sole Palestinian member of Congress, the horror that Rashida has experienced in Congress during this horrific genocide, and watching Summer Lee just be a sister, just be a friend, just be there in her public solidarity. And just like you, Congressman Summer, you've stood up for our people. We're going to keep standing up for you, and we're going to keep having your back. And we want you to continue to be bold and brave. And we promise you, every time it gets hard and you turn your back, you're going to find us right there for you. So we are so happy and excited the ways in which you got up and were able to defeat AIPAC and defeat MAGA donors and defeat the Republican donors that were trying to infiltrate in your district. But your community saw more. They saw your work. They saw your integrity. They saw your dignity. And that's why you came out victorious. You, my friend, are someone that gives me the little hope that I need sometimes when I look into Congress and say, do I believe these people? Do I think these people fight for me? And I remember you and Rashida and the many others that do. So thank you, Summer, for all that you've done for our people, not just for our Palestinian and Arab and Muslim communities, for all people, because that's who you are. You are Congresswoman of the people. So please, everybody, help me welcome our dear sister, Representative Summer Lee from the great state of Pennsylvania.
Sis, thank you so much. We've been on this circuit. It feels like we've been in this fight. I know in different paths, we've been on this fight for a long time. But even since I've been in Congress, it's just been the honor of my life to be here with everyone, to be here with you. But yes, especially to be with my sisters in Congress, who I'm just so grateful for, because they've laid out pathways. And not just my sisters, my brother Andre, my brother Jamal, right? These folks who have been here in this place, and they are, no matter how difficult it is, and listen, I'm here to tell you it is a difficult job on every day. But these are folks who step by step, day by day, they're chipping away to make this place better for the next generation. And I'm one of those people who have benefited, because there was a Rashida, there was a Ilhan, there's a Cory. So I just want to thank you all so much for being here with us today. Thank you so much for being in solidarity with each other. I see that this call is rocking. I'm late to the party, but I see that this call is rocking, and it's filled with so many people who are lovers of justice and freedom and liberation. And we need every single one of us to be in our fights, in this fight, from every single angle that we can approach it from. I'm grateful to come to you from not just my grandmama's house, but from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, from PA 12 Pittsburgh, where I am have been on the front lines, fighting back against AIPAC, fighting back against disinformation, fighting back against people who have not yet joined us on the right side of history. But every single day, we're proving that we are and we have been standing on the right side of history. So I'm here with a little bit of good news, right? That the organizing that we're doing, the conversations, the sacrifices that we have been making, and I know that so many of you have been making sacrifices, and I don't just mean financial, and though we are grateful for it. I mean the sacrifices that you have been making emotionally, the sacrifices you've been making to put yourselves on the line at your jobs, at your places of worship, at your schools, in your communities. Those sacrifices have not and will not be in vain. They will not be in vain because of this call that you're on today, because of the incredible people that you are seeing here, my colleagues and my future colleagues who have been stepping up, even though everything in this moment says that you cannot exist in our politics as pro-Palestinian, as pro-Black, as pro-justice. You can't exist understanding how our community's liberation is tied together, right? There are so many things, signals, corporations, entities, lobbies that are here to tell us that we can't join together throughout this country, despite our faith, despite our race, despite our genders, and do this work and be victorious in it. But those of us who are here and who keep coming back are here to show us that absolutely we can, and that we must, that this movement is the key to liberation, not just for our siblings in Palestine. It's key to our movements right here and everywhere else in this country. So I'm here to thank you all so much for everything that you have done as contributed. I've been in Congress since October 7th, and we've been through some of the darkest days that our Congress, and some of our most shameful days, as y'all just saw last week, with them allowing a genocidal maniac to come and deliver a speech to our body. We're going to withstand some more dark days, but we are going to stand taller And we're going to bring about the sunshine much faster when we protect every single person who has called not just for a ceasefire, who has called for the end of the occupation, end of blockade, end of apartheid. Everyone who has used their platforms, however they've used it. And we're also going to welcome and invite some people to join us. We know that there are some colleagues still that we have that because of the conversations you are having with them, they're going to start stepping a little bit closer to us. And that's a victory too, because we want to make sure that we're keeping people from stepping closer to AIPAC. So keep up this work, keep up this energy, keep up that fire that we are putting on our elected officials to remind them that the humanity that we are fighting for is our own. That it might be a human being in Gaza right now, but it's our own humanity that we are still here fighting for. So I just wanted to thank you. We made it out of my primary. Yes, absolutely. We are living proof that we can beat AIPAC. We're living proof that we have the message that resonates most with the American population. We are not in the minority. From even in my district, in every district across this country, there are pro-peace people who are waiting to be activated. There are pro-peace people who are waiting maybe for us to help them take on the language, to learn the language that they can now deliver to their neighbors, that they can deliver to their elected officials. So we're going to keep on marching forward. We're going to keep on fighting. We're not going to let these lobbies, we're not going to let anyone put us into despair, because we know that that is the victory that they are looking to take from us, to take our hope, to take our fire, to extinguish our flame. So I am so grateful. You all showed up so much for me in my general. And yes, I will have a primary. I do have a primary because they come for me all the time. But that's okay, because we're going to defeat them. But first, we're going to defeat AIPAC. We're going to defeat all of our haters next week in St. Louis for our sister, Cory. We must be all hands on deck. So I'm just here to lift her up. She is one of the bravest, boldest, baddest we have. Help us to keep her in this Congress, to keep her at the forefront of our political movement. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all for letting me be here today.
Yes. Thank you to our dear Congressman Summer Lee. And I always tell this to people all the time, and I'm doing a lot of political education in the Muslim community. And of course, we have many allies who are here with us today. It's not just about a primary. Someone like Congressman Summer and Congressman Rashida and all of our Congress women and men that we love, they need to keep that bank account full. So just because they come out of a primary, don't mean you turn your back and you start doing something else. We got to make sure that these folks are safe, that they are continuing to do the work, that people don't look into their bank accounts and see that they have any vulnerability. Because as you know, the money that they have is public information. Anybody can find out how much politicians have cash on hand. They know because they have to report it to the campaign finance. So we need you all to continue to support these members of Congress. And you heard it from Summer Lee herself, like, we're all we got, my friends. We've already shown and demonstrated our support for Summer, and we're able to defeat AIPAC in Pittsburgh, but we got so much more work to do. So we're winning some and we're losing some. We want to try to win them all. So we got to put money here. So before I get to our next speaker, you know me, because I'm a money lady, and I hate to be that person, but I know that in money and votes are what talk in politics. That's how you get to where you need to go to. And so I got news that we got another $10,000 match. And so if people are matching, we got people who are going to match you. And so I need people, because I don't want to lose a match, my friends. You can't leave any money on the table. I don't leave $1 on the table. And so far, you all keep giving. I mean, I have dear friends Julie and Kirsten here. We have Zach, Sada, $250. Diana gave us $500. We got Erica. There's so many people in here. Carrie. It moves so fast for me. Let's see. I got Madeline here. I got so please keep dropping the link, folks, in here for the folks to see, because it moves so fast. Y'all got to just keep dropping it. Keep dropping it here. Let's see here. I'm just so excited about how incredible you are. I saw someone here say something about their daughter. I love those kinds of messages. I got to go back and find that one, because it's moving. So y'all got to stop moving so fast for me, which is great. Like, y'all giving me a good, my daughter Jenna is matching my $500. That's from Nadia Mustafa. That's amazing. You all are amazing. Amani, Anila, Ahmed, you all are incredible. So like I said, Jafar also, thank you, Jafar. Y'all are amazing. So anyway, that's why we're here. So we want to make sure that, you know, we're here to do the work, so that we're here listening and we're getting inspired and we're getting fired up, because that is also why we're here. We want to make sure that people continue. Here, who can match? We got 8. Somebody needs to match 1,800. Oh my goodness, you all are amazing. So let me get back to the program, because now I get all distracted, because I want to be able to tell a great story after this, that you know, 600 people on a Zoom raised some big money, my friends, because like I said, I just can't believe, there's no way that I'll ever believe that people who support apartheid, people who support genocide, people or defend genocide, are going to invest their money more than the people who love justice, who love freedom for the Palestinian people. So we're almost at $70,000, and my friends, I gotta hit 100 in like the next 10 minutes. So if we can do that, that would be great. And I think the next person is gonna help, because she is amazing and incredible. And you know, Lexi earlier got, I've been trying to be professional, but sometimes we can't be professional because we're also human beings. But this is a woman that I honestly, sometimes I'm sitting at home and it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm sitting on the couch or sitting in my bed, and just the thought of her, just thinking about her, just her face coming up for me makes me emotional. She is one of the most incredible human beings that ever existed in our community. This is a woman that's going down in history. This is a woman not only we are proud of today, but little Palestinian girls, little Palestinian American girls, 40, 50, 100 years from now are going to be able to look back at these moments and watch the bravery of this woman. They are going to be even more unapologetically Palestinian American because of her. She is someone that has been so consistent in our community, someone who tells the truth. And what I love about her, because she's from Detroit and I'm from Brooklyn, she doesn't care who's upset. Sometimes people in the Muslim community be upset with us. Sometimes the Arabs be upset with us about stuff, but we don't waver. We stand up for what we believe in. And she has been someone who has been a staunch defender of her people with great dignity, with compassion, with empathy. And that's who Rashida Tlaib is every day, not just for the Palestinian people. The reason why she goes back to Congress over and over again is because the people of her community love her. I've walked the streets of her district. The amount of people who know her by name, who literally come out on their porch when she's walking by like she's just the neighbor, like she's not a congresswoman. They believe that she is a member of their family. And that is why Rashida goes back to Congress. And you know what? The opposition tries every election season to go after Rashida. But you know what our community does? We keep her coffers full. We let them know that she got people that got her back. And that while she's sitting in that chamber listening to a war criminal, that she knows that while she's sitting there through that there are millions of people in our country and millions of people around the world that are literally sitting right there with her. She can close her eyes and know that we are always with her. So may Allah bless and protect our sister Rashida. May God keep her in Congress for a very long time. And inshallah, Rashida, our job is not only to keep you in Congress, but to send you some more friends. That is my responsibility and that is my mission. So please, everybody, welcome the greatest congresswoman we have ever seen, our dear sister, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib from the great city of Detroit.
No, thank you so much, everyone. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for being in space like this, to come together and say resoundingly, as I remind my cousin all the time, not all Americans want you to die, sis. Not all Americans want Palestinians to die. They want them to live just like their children to live and to grow old. And that not, you know, every corner of our country, people are saying loud and clear, we are done. We are done sending bombs and weapons to destroy communities, to kill beautiful families just left and right. It's just too much. It starts with the white phosphorus, then churches, then mosques, then tent of family. We're tired of it. But what I love is there are people like Dr. Pamela Pugh, who is running in an open seat in Michigan without even talking to me, saying ceasefire now. She did it because she is also a person that understands what it means to be othered and dismissed and felt disposable in a way that, like, not letting our government understand that our lives do forever do matter. And so, you know, you have Dr. Pugh out there being unapologetic about it. What I got to tell you, and we're going to talk about it, you know, the thing about AIPAC, and a lot of people in my community don't even know who they are. But what we do know is this, they bully. They do it in a very, and Dr. Pugh would call me and say, this happened. They do it in a way that is incredibly intimidating and sometimes dehumanizing. You know, y'all, I just came back from St. Louis with my team to see the distortion of my sister, my beautiful Black sister, Cori Bush's face on literature, on digital media. I mean, just to see them dehumanized, to tear her down. You know, and I got to go out there and remind people over and over again, your congresswoman is saving lives here at home. She literally would not leave the steps. She didn't plan it. She would not leave the steps of the Capitol because they were going to walk away and go home. And she said, oh no, that's millions of people that will be evicted from their home. And she said, no, I can't leave. And she could not leave those steps. And because of her, when people rolling their eyes at her, what is she doing? Even her local media coming at her. But guess what? It worked. And what Cori Bush is teaching all of you is that the movement work outside of Congress, it works to use those kinds of organizing tools, maybe marches and protests, but civil disobedience, and speaking loudly and very clearly in spaces to say, hey, we're not going anywhere. Our movement is beyond just the institution of Congress and the White House. We're going to make these institutions move with us. And again, it's not just the majority of Democrats, but even now Republicans, over 50% support what we're saying is done. We're done funding genocide. We're done. We want a ceasefire. Again, I'm speaking to all of you in a way to understand this, but I want to speak about this. One of the last person I spoke to before going to the floor is Cori Bush. And I said, Cori, you know, she said, what are you going to do? I said, she wanted so badly to come with me. The nurses, you got to stay there. I see the attacks. They're spending $15 million against you. It's freaking me out. And I'm not even, I mean, even when I'm there, she sees them. I think I didn't help her because I was freaking out. I was like, nah, give me more doors to do. I got to get out there and speak the truth about the incredible Cori Bush. Even in that moment, seeing all the ads and attacks and everything and just sitting there, but telling her, no, it's okay, I'm going to go. But guess what? She said, what? I said, I took, you know how you did, I call it the Cori Bush church fan. I don't know if y'all realize it's a church fan. And I said, I took the stick from the church fan she created when the State of the Union. So she made sure that President Biden and myself, we just want to make sure we hold everybody accountable, no matter their party affiliation. We want what is right is right. And I said, oh, I used the stick. I put it on there, war criminal guilty of genocide. And I went to that floor. And let me tell you guys, everyone was like, she's here. And I proudly walked on smiling. Of course, I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen? I don't know. And people were just shook. And I stood in my seat. Nobody would sit next to me. Even the person that finally sat next to me moved as soon as I put the placard up at the Cori Bush church fan up and said, war criminal, especially as he attacked the very people, the Americans outside of that Congress saying, you know, ceasefire now, save lives. Enough is enough. And all I say to you is that I watched every single moment that they got up saying there's no civilians killed in Rafah. They just got up automatically. It's unbelievable to me, the bullying and intimidation. When people come, I'm glad you came. What are you doing here then? Why aren't you home? And you know that this is wrong. You know that he's committing war crimes. You know this is genocidal. And it was just sitting there. But you know what is incredible? What I find about Pamela Pugh and Cori Bush and Hill Harper and Andre, like we are candidates that also support progressive. Like if you're going to find somebody that's anti-genocide, they're going to be for Medicare for all. Automatic. They're going to be for the right to breathe clean air like that. They're going to be for the George Floyd and Justice and Policing Act. No hesitation. They're going to be for that. They're the same people that are anti-genocide are the same people saying, oh no, you are not evicting people during a pandemic. They're the same people saying housing is infrastructure. You can't come and sell me some half measure while my people are unhoused. And so all that to say is the same people you are supporting right now, the same Palestinians deserve to live and that our country should not be supporting a genocide, to send bombs and to want to invest. These are the same people that support the lives here at home. And I got to tell you, I mean, I feel every time I speak, no hesitation, the courage that they take to take on their own institution. When Dr. Pugh, with no hesitation, this is a woman that's on our Board of Education in Michigan, y'all. And even though it was a Democratic, governor, she said, oh no, You're not pushing back against that lawsuit, a lawsuit that was filed by children to say we have a right to read. We have right to literacy. She didn't let them bow down. She didn't bow down and say, we're gonna wipe that. And because of that, and Dr. Pugh will tell you, millions, I think it was close to $100 million invested in schools to help our children graduate that can read, so they have access to the right to read. All of that to say is the courage you all see at this very moment that take on the overwhelming resources and money that come in from AIPAC. I mean, think about it. AIPAC supports, I don't even want to, they support people that are not for our communities, white supremacists. Think about that for one moment. And so these are folks that are saying, I don't want your money. I'm done. This is how we move. This is how we make sure that people like Imraan has a voice. When I see colleagues tell me, same colleagues from Washington State, tell me, well, why should we be helping the children of Gaza? Let Egypt do it. It's our bombs. We're the ones investing. The dehumanization is real. And coming back from St. Louis and watching what they're doing to Cori, I wish they would debate her on genocide. They're not. They want to tear down, take every stereotype you can imagine to tear down this Black woman who loves St. Louis like nobody other. All because she had dared to say, I will introduce the ceasefire resolution. So when we're invested in this, we show our power because these are candidates that, again, are going up against the AIPAC chosen candidates. They literally are part of the system right now that just tears them down, even though they are from and all about their districts. And so it is so important that you continue to donate, continue to support, show that we can raise the same kind of money in our community, because Americans generally, small dollars all add up and help us push against, I believe, the hate that comes towards our community because we are all about love. With that, Sister Linda, girl, I miss it on the outside. I'll tell you that much. I really do, Linda. I want to be out there protesting with you guys every single day, but I'm going to go on the floor. And I got Cory. Please send Pamela back. I need Dr. Pugh. I need somebody in the Michigan delegation that would sit next to me. Again, these are people that are courageously taking on this fight. These are, folks that really believe what is good among our society. They are not forgetting shared humanity. They really, truly, truly believe Palestinians deserve to live. They truly believe that our country shouldn't be investing in war. They should be investing here at home. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being on this call. This is incredible.
Rashida makes me cry every time. I don't think that she deserves what's happening to her, but she still goes back every day to work and fight for us and fight for our people. And I want you all to show her that what you're doing. What are you doing, my friends? What are you doing to help us send people like Dr. Pugh, send people like Imraan, send people like Dr. Ghanim, and these folks that are going to fight for us when they go to Congress? How are we going to protect Cory in Congress? We cannot do that without you. So you had tonight, I'm telling you, some of you have given, and Lexi is an organizer like me. So we think about things in terms of organizing. Right now we have 614 people on this call. Every single one of you knows somebody else. All you got to do is take the link that you saw in that you see that Morgan keeps dropping in the chat, that I've dropped in the chat a few times, literally. And I'm challenging you right now. I want you to take the link, copy and paste it, and send it to your mother. Send it to your cousin, send it to your friend, and tell them, I don't need nothing from you today, but if you love Palestine, like I love Palestine, if you want to see freedom for the Palestinian people, don't even tell them what it's about. They're going to trust your judgment. Tell them drop $10. So imagine if 612 of you give $10, my friends, we could move here, $20, whatever you think your people can do. And so this is how organizing works. Organizing really is just 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. That's how we organize. When you see major marches, when you saw the Women's March, people think that the Women's March was like magic. No, it required you to tell your sister, your cousin, your uncle, your father, your next door neighbor, your coworkers. You had to go from one person to the next. So this is how you organize. So today we're asking you to be organizers. You have committed yourself, whether you gave $200, $20, or $1,000. But I'm asking you to send that link to somebody else and say, give $20, give $10. And I want to see what happens, because we're watching the donation link on the back end. And now what I want to see is an influx of them telling me that some people who ain't even on the call are giving us the 10, 20, 30 dollars, because we need them, because remember, we're trying to support all these people that are with us here today. And so we're gonna go to our next speaker, and I hope this is the one that's gonna make you all go deep in your pockets. And I'll just tell you, and not everybody here is Muslim, and I love you all. Not everybody here is a person of faith or believes in God, and I still love you all. But I want to share with you something that we believe as Muslims. Oftentimes when we think about donations or giving money towards a good cause, you have to kind of give with sacrifice. When you give what you can, that's not the kind of donation that we're looking for. We're looking for you to get the true blessing is to give a little more. So for example, you gave a donation, but what if you gave up a dinner with friends this week? What if you gave up 2-3 lattes this week and said, I'm gonna give you another $15, Linda, today? You know what? You're right. I was planning on going out this weekend with some friends. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna skip it, and I'm gonna tell my friends to come over and watch a movie instead. We're not gonna go out this weekend. I'm asking you to sacrifice something. And you know this, and I've said this many times before, none of us will sacrifice anything near what the Palestinian people have sacrificed for us the last 10 months. And so I'm just asking you to do a little sacrifice. And so if you've already gave, if you can give another $20, another $30, that's what we need today. Allison, I'll answer that question for you directly in the chat, because it's a misinformation. Next up, everybody, this is another woman that makes me emotional. This is a woman who we have to send back to Congress. Like, we got no choice, my friends. If you are from the great state of Missouri, if you are from a neighboring state like Kansas, I need you to roll up to St. Louis. I need you to roll up and knock some doors in these final days, in this final few days before Tuesday, August 6th, which is the primary for a few states, but in particular for Missouri and for our dear sister, Cori Bush. I need you to drop some money here on the Congresswoman, because we need to send her back to Congress. Sometimes we want to send people. There's a difference between we want to send Cori back to Congress, and there's a difference between we need Cori in Congress. This is not a want. This is not an aspiration. This is a we. It is absolutely critical and necessary that Cori goes back to Congress. Listen, I've been watching the polls, and I've been watching this over the last maybe 8 weeks, really, really looking at every angle. I look at the polls of the opposition. I'm always digging in their stuff, seeing what they're saying. And I will tell you the transformation from maybe a month ago till now, Cori's really closing in on them. And so this last couple of days, people sometimes say we did what we could. There's only a couple of days left. There's nothing more that I can do. There is everything that you can do. You can phone bank for Cori. There's plenty of organizations who are phone banking for Cori. There are people rolling up to St. Louis, doing different shifts on the doors in all parts of the district. There is so much that you can do. If people think, well, why should I give money? There's only 5 more days. Exactly the time that you need to be giving money is right up to Election Day, my friends. That bank account is open, and the supplies are needed. The mailers are needed. The palm cards are needed. Every dollar that you have, we need for Cori to make sure that she goes back to Congress. I don't need to tell you this. You already know Cori is 10 toes down. Cori has been unapologetically in solidarity with our communities. She has said what has needed to be said. We don't have to call Cori. I said this the other day on a fundraising call for Cori, and I'm going to tell you all here. I am always exhausted of how much emotional labor I got to do with state legislators, local council members, calling members of Congress's offices, talking to staffers, literally emotional labor, just telling people, do you care about the sanctity of life? All I'm asking you to do is to please stop the murder, stop the killing of Palestinians and Palestinian children. That's all we want you to do. Even on other issues that I care about, voting rights, immigration, repro, all the issues, I've never one time ever had to call Cory and tell her, hey, just want to make sure you go and do the right thing, because I already know Cory's going to do the right thing. She always does the right thing. She never lets us down. And it's not just about our people and Palestinians. Cory is a congresswoman for all the people. And that's why we need to send her to Congress. I'm not here for my own self-interest. Cory knows me. I've been working in racial justice for over 20 years. And I am here because I know Cory supports Black women. I know Cory supports her Jewish sisters and brothers. I know she supports migrants and refugees and women's rights. This is a woman who is incredible, and we need to send her back to Congress. We need, and I keep saying, other people, I said I want them to go back to Congress. I need Cory in Congress. So please welcome our great Congresswoman from the great state of Missouri. Inshallah, we are going to have her in Congress for many more years to come, because again, we need her there. So welcome, Cory.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, my dear sister Linda. You know, first of all, I just appreciate you and so many of our friends on this call who have made this race, who have made not just my race, but all of our friends who are on this call, made it a priority to support us, because let's just back it all up. You don't have to. You don't have to. You could be doing other things. You could be spending your money in other places, but you've made this a priority. And for that, I just want to just say thank you so much. Linda, you've been on so many calls. You came to St. Louis, and I just thank you for organizing here and for doing the work to keep me in this seat. And so many others. I see a lot of folks on here I know. And you know, my sister Rashida, of course, like she said, she just left St. Louis, and she brought a whole team of people down to knock doors. And that's what it takes. It takes us doing something different. It takes us stepping outside of the normal of what we would do in a campaign, as we campaign even for other people, to be able to make this happen, because they're doing something different. You know, I didn't have $15 million spent against me when I ran in two years ago, or the 2 years before that. This race that I'm in right now is the third most expensive race in U.S. history, House race in U.S. history, the third. Only third to, of course, Jamal Bowman's, who was first, and then there was another race in between us. Why are they spending all of this money? And now that 15 million was as of a few days ago. They just spent another. So just like Sister Linda, when you said, you know, why should we donate now? It's like looking at, oh, it's only a few days left. Let me tell you, they just dropped 1.2 million on television yesterday so that they could flood the airwaves the entire weekend with the Olympics and everything. They're trying to flood the airwaves with the lies. My opponent, you all, just 2 weeks ago was asked, the president supports a ceasefire. The president supports a ceasefire in Gaza. Do you now support a ceasefire in Gaza? His answer was, no, I stand 100% with Israel. You all, this was not even 2 weeks ago. This is what we're facing. It is not just switching us out. That's not what this is. It's not just switching us out for them who's you know, who would just be someone that, you know, people can work with a little bit better, or, you know, what they think. This is about sending a message that if you speak up for Palestinian freedom, that we'll come at you. If you speak up and call it genocide, apartheid, occupation, extermination, that we will get rid of you. People are afraid of that. Members of Congress, some are afraid to do that, even though they believe in Palestinian freedom. they got the wrong one, because I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to push for it. I was asked in an interview just today, Cory, you knew that AIPAC would come after you if you spoke up for a ceasefire, if you introduced that legislation. So what sense did it make for you to do it? My thing is, what sense would it make for me not to?
Isa, what do you want, man?
If I have the opportunity to save lives, who am I if I won't speak up? Who am I if I won't act? Who am I if I put my own comfortability, if that's a word, before human lives? People stood up for me during the Ferguson uprising. A group of Palestinians came to St. Louis, to Ferguson, and stood with us, knowing that they were putting themselves in harm's way, and they stood 10 toes down with a bunch of Black people they didn't know. And you know what? So this Black woman is standing 10 toes down for Palestinians. I don't know. Absolutely. And so I need you all's help. I have 5 days left. 5 days. Tomorrow is 4. 4 days left to defeat not just this person, because he's just a vessel. He is a vessel. That's it. He is that's it. Because it could have been anybody else. They were still going to spend the same kind of money. We need to defeat AIPAC. We need to send the message to AIPAC that this progressive movement is strong. This movement for liberation is strong. This pro-humanity, pro-diplomacy, pro-democracy, anti-war movement is strong. And not only that, we're so strong, we're getting more people in. We're going to keep those we have in, but we're going to also do the work to get more in. Rashida says she needs Dr. Pam. We need Dr. Pam in, and all of the other folks. We need our people. We need our team. So thank you all for the support. But let me ask you this. How much does it mean to you? What does it mean to you to have people who will put their own lives and livelihood on the line for people they don't know, versus people who will be the ones to push the harm for those same people that we don't know? What is it worth to you to help keep us in the positions so that we can mitigate harm where we can only mitigate, and where we can help heal, or where we can prevent harm, where we can prevent it? So thank you all for everything that you've donated. I'm going to ask you if you can go a little bit deeper. I'm going to say I only have 4 days left. I only have 4 days after tonight. I only have 4 days left. If on August the 6th at 10:00 p.m., if they don't announce me as the winner, if I am unseated, will we then say, I wonder if I could have done more? You all, this money is not for me. This money is for our movement. Our movement, it stays in this seat. It's not, I'm the representative. The movement is in the seat. I open the door for our movement. I open the way for us to have what we want. I open the door. Like, that's it. I am in a seat to bring us there. If I leave, then the work that I've done and can do leaves. Then Rashida Tlaib is by herself. You saw her out there sitting by herself with that church fan. She was by herself. I wanted to be by her side, but that's what it would be if Cory Bush leaves. Help me stay. I love you all. Thank you. Free Palestine.
And you got to take care of yourself, Congresswoman, because we need you back healthy and strong. I know they have exhausted you. We see it in you, and I still see you knocking those doors. I still see you outside. I saw you hustling in St. Louis because you are earning every vote. And the people in your district, they love you. It's all about voter turnout, my friend. We just got to turn out the district. We got to make those calls. We got to give Cory the resources that she needs to get those people to the polls, because trust me, it's not easy for people to find the time to stay focused on this election season, especially during a primary. So Cory needs all the resources that she can get. And I don't want to be the one on August 6th that says I could have done a little more. I could have called a couple of more people. I could have gotten another $200, $300, $400, $1,000. We're going to make this happen, Cory, and we're going to keep making prayers for you, because I also believe in votes and money, but prayers are important. And we pray for your health, your safety, for your protection, the protection of your family, and most of all for your victory. And so we love you.
Love you back.
My friends, listen, don't make this job harder than it already is for me, because I'm exhausted. I have to perform energy sometimes because I'm trying to overcompensate all that is happening around me every single day. We do that as Palestinians. You see us outside, you see us with this kind of vigor. You know, we're trying to match the energy of our people who are still surviving in this genocide. But don't make this harder than it already is. We know that all of you have friends. You all are part of different Signal groups and WhatsApp groups. We need your help. We need you to be organizing. This is an organizing call. It's to organize money. And that means that for those of you who took the time out to be on this call tonight, you know 5 more people. So we're asking you to dig deep. I got, 4 sisters. I got 2 brothers. Like we all know people. We have people in our household. So if you are have a partner who lives with you, your husband, your girlfriend, whatever, say, hey, I need you to get your credit card and come on over here and give some money to this thing that I'm listening to right now. We need you. We need you. Morgan just said we got another offer for $10,000 match. Like, folks, this is not there's people that are outraged and excited all at the same time, and we need to match this moment. And so you can go ahead and keep dropping the link. Morgan and Lexi keep dropping the links. Let's continue on this path. We need to donate money. So anyway, I've been doing too much talking, my friends, and I have a whole flight to be going on tomorrow morning. And I also have another call that I got to get on with the West Coast people, because the West Coast people forget that I'm on the East Coast and think they could be talking to me so late at night, but got to do what we got to do. So that means that I am going to pass the mic for an incredible human being who's going to help facilitate the rest of this call. We have some more incredible people. Don't go anywhere, because the inspiration will continue tonight. Yes, we got more people coming. I want to introduce you to the incredible Lexi. I met Lexi. I knew of Lexi, but I know I got to become a sister to her during this horrific time, during this genocide. I've watched this young woman on the front lines. I have watched her grow into probably one of the most incredible Palestinian American activists in this country. And she is also making history for us. So please, folks, give it up to our dear sister, Lexi. And she's going to move you through the rest of the program.
Thank you, Linda. If I had words to describe my gratefulness towards you, I would not be able to culminate that into one sentence. But for the sake of time, because I know we are a little behind schedule, but I love the energy in the chat. Folks, please continue to bring this energy, especially during a time where a lot of us are burnt out, we're angry, we're grieving. It's just the silver lining in this is to see the joy in the chat. You know, I say my Palestinian existence is resistance, but I also believe my joy is resistance. And being able to bask in that joy with you all, working towards an anti-AIPAC Congress, working towards people that we need to see representing who we are. I want to emphasize the importance of dollars. AIPAC just actually released a data point the other day stating that 90 out of 90 pro-Israeli candidates have been elected, boasting and bragging about the fact that they think that genocide is a platform to win on. And so we pulled together this call because we don't believe, we are very anti-AIPAC. We don't believe that special interest deserves a place in our politics. We don't believe that AIPAC deserves a place in our politics. We don't believe that Kufi deserves a place in our politics. We believe that our politics should be centered on human rights. It should be centered on equity. It should be centered on justice. And so I'm asking folks to give up your coffee this week, to give up a night out this week, and please take 10 minutes and send this link to your friends. I have the honor of introducing somebody who I had the pleasure of meeting this year. She is a woman that walks in so much grace, one of the most eloquent speakers I have ever heard speak. She just brings a level of safety and comfort in any room that she enters into. She's somebody that I would love to see in Congress, and as Rashida shared, someone that needs to be elected in Michigan. I have the honor of introducing Dr. Pamela Pugh, who's running for the congressional seat in Michigan's District 9. Dr. Pamela Pugh has been a vocal supporter of our pro-ceasefire initiatives. She has a commitment to equitable healthcare, education, environmental justice. She's been on the front lines in so many different spaces. And so please help me welcome Dr. Pamela Pugh to be our next speaker.
Good evening, and what an honor it is to be here, though it is sad that we are here for the occasion that we're speaking of. 10 months, I'm putting in my headphones, 10 months has been too long, far too long. 10 months has been long for the loss of 15,000 children. 21,000 children that we cannot account for. 10 months has been too long. You know, it was October 9th that I stepped out and called for a ceasefire. It did not take me too long to recognize that when we were turning off water, when we were shutting off food supply, turning off energy, that the trouble, the death toll that we would soon see. And now here we are at 15,000 children. As a public health specialist, as a Christian who is led by faith, I knew that that would be wrong and we would end up, I never knew that we would still be here talking about the death toll, and that our country would be giving money to the killing of innocent life. It was 6 months when I was asking, as I'm State Board of Education president for the state of Michigan, and I started asking some of the superintendents around our state, how many children are in your district? And so when I looked at all of the surrounding district, and so for those of you from Michigan, that's Saginaw County's school district, or most Saginaw Public School District. That is Flint Community School District. That is Frankenmuth. It's all the large school districts, almost all the school districts in the 8th Congressional District combined. If the children were killed within a 6-month period. And it's because I speak up and continue to speak up that there are those who try to diminish me as a person. I am a scientist with a chemical engineering degree. I have a master's of science and a doctorate in public health from the University of Michigan. I've served in Flint, Michigan as the chief public health advisor, where I saw a community be devalued as people and poisoned by their government. And there are those who will disappear me because, and my record, and because I have taken a stance for the people of Gaza. And I would do it over and over and over again. I am going to continue to fight, to be there with my sister Rashida Tlaib, who has had my back, to be there with Congresswoman Cory, who will make it successfully over the finish line, and to be there with my sister Summer Lee, who has almost will soon make it successfully over the finish line. There's so much at stake here, and we will not stand for it. As I knocked on the doors today, there are so many people who find it refreshing to know that there are those who are pro-peace, who are pro-ceasefire, who are pro-people, who are pro-economic dignity for all. And there are so many who are just waiting to hear from us. And the resources that you all will help us to help our voices to be heard when there are those who are definitely trying to diminish our voice. I will just say one last thing. I was on the call with someone. Rashida Tlaib was coming to my district, and I happened to be on a call with someone, and they told me, Pam, you picked the wrong side. And that angered me so much that someone could say that standing for innocent life, standing against our resources, our tax dollars, could be picking the wrong side. Standing against our dollars going to genocide and the killing of innocent life when I live in a district where the poverty level is less than 10%, which is better than the state, better than the US. But when you look at communities like Saginaw, Michigan and Flint, Michigan, where there was the water crisis, those poverty levels go up to 36%. We need those resources that are going and contributing to the death of innocent life. And I thank you all. I thank each of you all for being here. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I can't wait to make it over that finish line to victory. And I will say that I am the only person of color who is on our ticket. I am the only person who has taken a pro-ceasefire approach. The others are running and proudly call themselves moderate. And I have not and will not take AIPAC dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pugh. You truly are one of one. One thing I want to share about Dr. Pugh is you often find candidates are so busy in their day, but Dr. Pugh makes it a priority to return every single phone call, every single text, and truly is a servant of the people. And so we need to get Dr. Pugh to Congress. And so I just want to name, I saw quite a few folks giving $1,000 for Linda, and I know I have my people in this chat. So I want to see some people say I'm giving $1,000 because Lexi's on this call so we can help get Dr. Pugh to Congress, to help keep Cory Bush in Congress, and help all the rest of our candidates. And so want to take this moment. Morgan, is our special video guest ready, or should I pause on that?
I believe our special video guest is ready.
Okay.
But right before we do that, I just want to ask, if I have 3 people that are willing to give us $1,000, we can hit $100,000 right now on this call to help send all these pro-ceasefire candidates to Congress. We've got 3 people that have pledged to match $10,000 matches, and we're about $4,000 short on the second match. So anything that you guys can do, please do it right now. I'm dropping the donation link in the chat. And I will let our tech guy tell us if the video is ready. Oh, and someone in the chat says you're going to get a watermelon patch if you are the person who donates the $100,000. So we love a watermelon patch.
Wait a couple minutes. We need some more time.
Yeah, we can keep going. Let's check and see where we're at right quick on the donation. Oh my gosh. Okay. Somebody, Ahmed just gave $3,300. Thank you so much, Ahmed. We really, really appreciate it. And if anybody else in the chat can match Ahmed, we are well on our way to our next goal of 150,000 to keep these people in Congress. AIPAC has spent more than any other entity besides maybe the war machine, which they're a part of, in this cycle to keep these people out of Congress. So we need to make sure that we're supporting them. It's the many against the money, but every dollar counts. Even if you can do $5, $10, whatever you can do, please dig deep and do that right now.
What we'll do is we'll just actually welcome our next speaker. I know we're coming up almost at 10 o'clock, but we have a few more amazing speakers and some more money to raise. Appreciate all the energy continuing to remain on this call as we approach, time late into the evening. But again, there is a real moment here, a real political moment to seat anti-AIPAC and pro-human, pro-ceasefire, pro-Palestinian candidates into Congress. And, the time is now or never. I would like to now introduce somebody who has become my sister in the work. I met this person when we did a rally together in Dearborn. So shout out to Michigan in the chat if you're from Michigan. It's where I hail from. And this person has just become a light in my life, whether it's on social media or us checking in on each other. And so I'm so incredibly grateful to introduce someone who is an anti-Zionist Jew who uses her platform in an incredible way to speak up for Palestinian human rights and self-determination. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and she does it all in the name of Palestinian liberation and freedom, equity, justice for all people. And so please, in the chat, rather than giving applauses, give dollars to our donation link for our wonderful Miss Katherine Bogen.
Hi, y'all. Good evening, friends and comrades. I guess my more authentic greeting is automatically, hi, y'all. I'm entirely starstruck. I can't believe I get to be here in such remarkable company. I'm honored, I'm humbled. My name is Katherine Bogen, but y'all on the call might know me as Katie the American Jewish Girl. I am the granddaughter and great niece of Holocaust survivors. I'm a proud queer woman, a doctoral student in clinical psychology, and a staunch Jewish advocate for Palestinian liberation. I'm also a little Disney-looking femme white girl, which means that sometimes people are willing to listen to me say things that other people, smarter people, have said first and better and many times. Every single thing I have ever said about Palestinian liberation, Palestinians themselves have been sharing for 76 long and painful years. So what I have to contribute is my perspective as a Jew. In that spirit, I'll begin tonight by sharing a story of what it means to be Jewish in America. First, I'm gonna grab my cat, who will otherwise make so much noise and fuss. My grandfather grew up in Otwock, Poland. In the mid-1930s, he was transported to the Warsaw Ghetto, the closest historical parallel to Gaza, where he and his sister were members of the Polish underground and participated in the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. My grandfather Stosh and his sisters were the only 3 members of my family to make it out of the Holocaust alive. My grandpa was arrested in Warsaw and sent to a labor camp, then a concentration camp. My aunt Helen was in Ravensbrück, then Buchenwald. She was subjected to torture and grotesque medical experimentation by Dr. Joseph Mengele, the death angel, before being liberated by Allied troops while on a death march in 1945. When my grandfather and great aunt were given the choice to relocate to Israel or the United States, my family chose to come to the US because their childhood nanny had settled in Connecticut. This is where my family moved in the year 1949 after spending 4 years as refugees in Germany. It is by the flip of a coin, the decision of 2 traumatized and exhausted people, that I grew up a citizen of the United States. My family found a place to thrive in this country after the horrors of the concentration camps. My grandfather met my grandmother and made a home with 5 children, my father and his siblings, who are now scholars and healthcare workers and creatives and educators. This home welcomed them, provided them room to expand their Jewish community, and allowed them to meet non-Jews, to build friendships and fall in love. This home offered safety and freedom, and over the years, from the legacy of my family, I have learned that being Jewish means having a place where we belong, where we can root in our resilience, where we can figure out what it means to rebuild after decades and generations of violence, and that place for many Jews is right here in the United States. But there is a message being spread that tells American Jews that our true home lies elsewhere. This message comes from AIPAC, which asserts that our allegiance, our loyalty, should not be to the country that sheltered us, but to a foreign nation currently perpetrating some of the worst human rights abuses this world has ever seen. AIPAC's insistence upon American Jews' dual loyalty is not only misleading, it's dangerous. AIPAC tells American Jews that our home is actually Israel, that the people responsible for maintaining our safety are in Israel, both absolving leadership at home from the duty of keeping us safe and creating a divide that alienates us in the eyes of our fellow citizens. AIPAC complicates our identity as American Jews, and it draws ties between us and Israel, ties that we refuse, that we repudiate. I want nothing to do with a nation that is doing to Palestinians what was done to my family. At the start of World War II, my family lived in Otwock, Poland, and my great-grandfather was an architect there. He took pride in his lilac bushes, tending to them with the same care and love that he gave to his family and to his business. When the Second World War began, those cherished lilacs were dug up by a group of Nazi soldiers and given to a German commandant. This was the first time my Aunt Helen had ever seen her father cry. This loss of sovereignty over our home and land is a painful memory, a violation of what was ours. And today I see the parallel of this trauma, this rending of a connection to home, and the burning of Palestinian olive groves, the heartbreak of the farmers who tend the land only to see that land destroyed by the Israeli occupation force. AIPAC supports the precise legislation that funds the weapons, that sets the fires that violate the earth of Palestine. We should not be funding genocidal violence. We should not be contributing to repetitions of intergenerational harm, and we should not be ingraining this violence into our democracy. The progeny of Holocaust survivors have a sacred duty to ensure that genocidal violence is never again allowed to happen to anyone. And yet we must confront the uncomfortable truth that the actions of the Israeli government, supported by AIPAC's influence, have led to severe human rights violations, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, genocide. Let's call it genocide. Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his public addresses, has repeatedly lied to justify these aggressive, inexcusable, and illegal policies. Just recently, he claimed that the military actions in Gaza were strictly defensive, yet the disproportionate death toll tells us another story. Since October 7th, 98% of those dead or more across occupied Palestine and the settler colony of Israel are Palestinian. That is not defense, that is devastation. AIPAC funds our political system with money, ensuring candidates who will tacitly accept these atrocities get elected. This is blood money, funding a cycle of violence and oppression that we as Americans are complicit in by allowing our elected official to take these contributions. We shouldn't be funding genocidal violence. We shouldn't be allowing this money to infiltrate and undermine our democracy. And we must support representatives and candidates like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Andre Carson, Hill Harper, Dr. Pugh, Preston Nouri, Imraan Siddiqi, Lee, Cory Jen Perelman, Ahmed Ghanim, those justice seekers who refuse AIPAC funding, people who hold the United States to a higher standard than being a for-hire arms dealer and bully on an international stage. AIPAC has this pernicious tactic of framing any and all criticism of Israel as anti-Semitism, which not only stifles legitimate discourse about threats of anti-Semitism, but obscures those actual rising threats at home. Threats like white supremacy, hate groups like the Proud Boys, web organizing platforms like Stormfront. AIPAC would have us take our fear of these very real threats out on student protesters who are advocating for a liberated Palestine. This is emotional and rhetorical manipulation. It distracts us from the true sources of hate and violence in our society. And let me be clear, our collective power in Congress, in the House, in the Senate, is dependent on our leaders rejecting dollars from those organizations that decimate human rights and violate international law. We cannot allow our foreign policy to be dictated by those who profit from suffering and conflict. And as you've heard tonight, the many can beat the money, but we must recognize that the money helps. We have to support campaigns that refuse to be bought, that stand on principles rather than profits. To all my fellow Jewish bays on this call, I know you're here. We have to show the world that American Jews reject AIPAC's influence and that we will not be complicit financially or otherwise in the injustices perpetrated against the Palestinian people. The United States strives toward ideals that we fail to achieve over and over again. Ideals like liberty and equality and freedom from persecution. We aim to contribute to a more perfect union. The goodness of this country lives in those that continue to do that work, who endeavor toward that precise alignment with the lofty goals to which we aspire. And aspirational action is the labor of the hopeful. I will say that again to everyone donating right now. Aspirational action is the labor of the hopeful. If you cannot imagine a better world, you will not be one of the people to create it. You will not be one of the people to contribute to it. The decisions we make at this moment in history are going to shape the future for generations, and we must refuse to allow ourselves to be coerced and purchased by AIPAC. We have to decide to stand united against the corruption of capital, which is currently violating not only Palestine, but Sudan, the Congo, and minoritized members of our own communities who are under the boot of white supremacy and fascism. That choice is ours. The descendants of Holocaust survivors have an unshakable responsibility to weed out tendrils of genocide wherever they root. We must fiercely uphold the legacy of our ancestors who fled persecution only to face unimaginable horrors across Europe. Not Palestine, my darlings, not Palestine, Europe. The legacy of our ancestors demands that we stand with the people of Palestine, not those people funding their deaths. The legacy demands that we refuse AIPAC's blood money. The legacy demands that we push the US to become what it sometimes pretends to be, an advocate for actual inalienable human rights across the global community. And with the rejection of AIPAC, we take a step toward upholding those principles, stemming the ongoing flood of violence, and liberating both Jews and Palestinians by honoring our ancestors. With the rejection of AIPAC, with the funding of the people who do share our values, we can begin to build that better world that we've imagined. Please donate. Please take the time, give your time and your energy, your labor, your love, your effort, and whatever money you have to these candidates. And thank you so much for staying on the call. Thank you for being here tonight.
Katherine, Katie, my beautiful sister in the movement. Amazing. Yes, I see people saying amazing speaker. I know Katie posted, people love Katie. We do love Katie because of all of her words, and her actions are totally centered on human rights and speaking up for the things that, you know, a lot of people are afraid to speak up on. So Katie, thank you for taking this time this evening. You came on a whim because we literally planned this in 48 hours. And so just thank you for always showing up. And folks, please, we're over $100,000. I'm asking folks to get us to $125,000 before 10:15. Again, if you text 10 of your friends and tell them to donate, there's still 500 people on this call. You text 10 of your friends, that's 5,000 people. They donate 10,000 or $10. That's $50,000, and we can hit our next goal. The next person I would like to introduce is someone who's running in the South Carolina's 1st District, great-great-grandson of freedom fighter Robert Smalls. But most importantly, he is anti-AIPAC and is running against somebody who is a MAGA Zionist, pro-AIPAC person. This is why we're on this call, to support folks like this, to help them through the finish line. So folks can please help me welcome Michael Moore to the spotlight. And I'm so excited to hear from him. Let's donate while he's speaking. Let's support him and his work. Michael, so excited to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lexi. Thanks to everyone. This is such a wonderful event. I mean, I just love and appreciate the energy and the activism and the support that's going on here. Before I get started, about 40 minutes ago, I saw a post in the chat where someone said, I think it was something like, all I can give is $5, I'm poor. And that just really touched me, because that's absolutely backward. You are so rich that you are here, that you are contributing to others, that you care about the world, and that you're doing something about it. So if you're still on here, I'm grateful to you for your support. My name is Michael B. Moore. I am running for Congress. I'm running because I have 4 sons, because I have a little 1-year-old granddaughter, and because I just saw that the world was so much more complicated for them than it was for me. Came along at the tail end of the civil rights movement, and even though we were still wrestling with a lot of the social issues that in many ways we still are wrestling with, it just felt like there was an overall much greater sense of optimism about the world. And today things are really complicated. I'm a first-time candidate. This is my first foray into politics, but I come from a family that has dedicated over many generations their lives to rolling up their sleeves and trying to make a difference for others. When I'm elected, I'll be the 4th in the last 5 generations of people in my family to serve others from the state of South Carolina in elected office. And so what that means to me is as mentioned, I am the great-great-grandson of Robert Smalls, who seized his freedom on a Confederate boat in Charleston Harbor, and then was one of the first African Americans elected to Congress. And that has always acted as an anchor to me around issues of justice and freedom and equal access. But for me, I just feel extraordinarily honored to be able to continue a lot of these battles around economic justice, battles around social justice, around civil rights, around voting rights, that, maybe I know my ancestors would have thought would have been solved by now, but here we are. And so I feel compelled to try to do something. And, there is real interconnectivity. A number of you have talked about it, whether it's connectivity of the struggles of people who are being subjugated, but also connectivity with the issues. It was mentioned earlier, people who care about, folks having good jobs with decent benefits to be able to take care of their families, or people who care about women having the right to make decisions about their own bodies, or people who care more broadly about the healthcare system. Medical debt's the #1 cause of bankruptcy in this country. We've got to think differently about that. I mentioned I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. In our country, the #1 cause of death among children in this country is gun violence. So all these things, I believe, are connected in a way, and I just feel compelled to try to do something. I am running against an extreme MAGA Republican representative, Nancy Mace, but we have a really unique opportunity, and I feel grateful just to have a chance to be here, to feel this energy and this enthusiasm, and to see the productivity of your efforts. And I'm just grateful. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate you, sending you love, and folks are going to be sending you dollars in the chat. Click on the link. Thank you for the fight. We know it's not easy. We know it's a lot of work, especially when you're up against the candidate you just described. And so again, sending you so much love and for all the work that you've done and will continue to do. Folks, again, we are at $107,000, I believe. We're working to get to 125K before the call ends, and then going to raise the latter part of our money off the call by asking y'all to donate, or asking your friends to donate, posting on social media. I'm very excited to introduce our next person. This person is a Democratic nominee for Pennsylvania's 16th Congressional District. As the only first-generation Gen Z Muslim American, Preston champions pro-ceasefire policies and is dedicated to peace, justice, and community well-being. With a background in government and community organizing, he truly brings fresh perspectives and unwavering commitment. I need my Gen Z folks to show up in the chat. Make sure that you are donating and supporting Preston and all the work that he is doing and will continue to do. I'm very excited to give the floor to Mr. Preston. Nouri, please, the floor is yours.
Alexa, you're too kind, and I want to just first and foremost say thank you so much to everyone. I think we probably hit well over 1,000 people here tonight, and quite frankly, it's with your support that we're able to even do this work in the first place. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about why we're all here today, and what opportunities we have here on the horizon with your support. So for those who don't know, my name is Preston Nouri. I was born and raised in Erie, PA, which is the heart of my district. 52% of the voting bloc lives here, to a Persian father and a first-generation American-Polish mother. I worked in resettlement for a good majority of my life growing up while I've been here in the community. We've done a lot of work in the early 2000s and 2010s with the Bosnian and Iraqi communities, and now we're doing a lot of work to try to help the Syrian and Afghani communities. We speak Farsi, they speak Dari, make sure that everybody actually has connections to the places that they need to. Since out here in Western Pennsylvania, and I know Summer can attest here, it's tough to find resources, especially for those who are most marginalized. And what it comes down to is I felt called to serve my community. Now, when it comes down to learning how I can best serve here, I wanted to go to the first place that I could really think of, that is the home bed of public policy. And that's Washington, D.C. I went down there to try to learn the machine and see what I can do for my community. I've worked in federal nonprofits, I've worked at the State Department in diplomatic security, and I've worked most recently in legislative congressional oversight at the Pentagon, where I really got to see what was all going on. And it comes down to we're wasting billions upon billions of dollars. Our tax dollars are being spent on corruption, being spent on bombs, and spent on funding a genocide in Gaza. Now, this whole thing is incredibly personal to me. Like Katie, my Polish Catholic maternal family was in Auschwitz and also did their work to try to help smuggle Jewish kids out of the camp there. My fiance is Palestinian. Our whole family is from Silwan. And as a first-generation American and as somebody who is the product of violence, we need to stand up for injustice wherever it comes for and stand for morality first and foremost. And there's a Zionist, white supremacist political movement using the generational pain of victims who have suffered some of the worst nightmares imaginable to justify similar horrors on the people of Palestine who have lived there for millennia. And now this political movement speaks through its entities. And we know their names. We know Democratic Majority for Israel, and we know AIPAC. And they fund absolutely anyone who's willing to continue their genocidal policy. In my case, my opponent has received hundreds of thousands from AIPAC and will only continue as we get closer and closer to November. This genocide is being funded with our tax dollars. The military-industrial complex churns out weapons of war at the cost of Social Security, health care, and the future of this nation. Billions upon billions are being spent on waging this war and making blood, but no more. No more support. No more lies. No more money for Israel's crimes. And when it comes down to it, folks, with your support, we're going to make sure we get these dollars spent better. Now, with these $1 billion being wasted, where are we going to go spend them? And it all comes back to bringing it back home to actually invest in our communities. We can end homelessness in the United States for roughly $25 billion. Well, I saw firsthand Every single fiscal year at the Pentagon, us waste $35 billion while we have people in my district starving. I have the most impoverished zip code in the entire United States. Median income is $11,000. It's Franklin Terrace, Richford Arms, places that people have long since forgot about, but I have. I cannot watch the people that I love and care about have to make the choice between the future that they deserve and the only place they've ever called home. We can save Social Security, we can make Medicare for all a reality, and we can forge a better future that's rooted in justice, rooted in equity, and rooted in empathy. And while we're working hard here towards November, when we've got so many brilliant people on this call, let's focus on what we truly can be. We'll all burn in the melting pot by exemplifying our values, staying true to who we are. We can be the multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic, beautiful American mosaic that we were truly meant to be. And with your help, we're going to make sure we elect this entire slate of pro-peace candidates to make sure we bring the generational change and leadership that we have desperately needed. For too many years, I have seen people in my district be misrepresented, and for no longer will I continue to stand by and let it happen. And with your support, we will elect every single person here on this slate to make sure that pro-peace, pro-Palestine, and pro-ceasefire are winning moral policies, so that when AIPAC wants to put out 90 out of 90 people have advanced, they'll understand that their days are numbered, their days are limited, and we are here to stand up for morality, moral rights, and the future of a free Palestine. Thank you so much.
That was amazing, Preston. And, as you were speaking, I think one quick thing I want to say, and candidates are people who come and go in and out of office. They say people who run for office are supposed to be public servants. It's supposed to be a thing they do for a short amount of time to make the society better, not a long-term career. And what I want to say is, I've often heard over the last several months of, why are we doing this? It doesn't matter. And when I remember when I was, I won't age myself, but I was a lot younger, Rashida was in office when Rashida was the only one. And then, after Rashida, the squad grew. You have Ilhan, you have Cory, you have Summer Lee, you have Jamal Bowman. Now you have people like Preston running, and a few others that you'll hear from, like Ahmed Ghanim, Hill Harper, Dr. Pamela Pugh. Our movements matter. And I guarantee you this, we had almost 1,000 people at some point showing up on this call, and you all sharing this, it's a movement that continues to grow. And so every single moment matters. Every single dollar matters. If you have not given, let's get to our 125K. I'm excited to introduce our next speaker. This person is a human rights lawyer, former Democratic nominee for U.S. Congress, and creator of Let's Address This on Substack. To our speakers, thank you for being so patient as we work through the rest of our agenda with only a few more people. Again, trying to get to our 120,000 before the call ends. I would love to welcome Mr. Qasim Rashid to the Zoom floor.
Thank you, Lexus, and thank you all for being here tonight. It's a few people have already said it, but it's always amazing to be around such good people, accomplished people, committed to the passion that we're trying to channel into fundraising. So let me start with that very hard ask. Make sure you contribute. As someone who's run for Congress, I can tell you there's nothing more rewarding than seeing the $1, $2, $3 donations coming in, because you remember that that's a hard-earned dollar that somebody had to go spend their time, spend their investment, spend their skill to get that dollar, and to invest it in a campaign. It's an investment in the kind of future that they want to see. So please don't assume that any amount is too small. Contribute that dollar, and if you can make it a recurring donation every month, all the better, because that helps candidates budget. I want to talk about three very quick things. I want to talk about what the current status on the ground right now from a human rights perspective. I want to talk about my personal experience in occupied Palestine, and I want to talk about what the future can look like if we choose to build it. Right now, we see a horrific situation where 165 journalists have been killed, the vast majority of whom are Palestinian. The Lancet, the world's most prestigious medical journal, estimates conservatively 186,000 Palestinians have been killed either directly or indirectly in this horrific genocide. 2 million Palestinians are displaced, and now polio is being detected in the water. And one of the big reasons for that is because the vaccination rates have dropped from 99% in 2022 to 89% in 2023, and even lower now as a result of this ongoing genocide. This is what we're facing right now. It's well established from the ICC, from the ICJ, from the UN, that this is a genocide. There is extermination being committed right now by the Netanyahu regime. And the world is watching, namely the United States leadership is watching. And that's where we need a change in leadership. And we do that by activating and organizing. My experience in occupied Palestine, I sit on the board of an organization, Common Defense, that's working to end the arms trade and the unlimited arms to the Israeli government, to the Netanyahu regime. And we had an opportunity to travel to occupied Palestine a couple of years ago. And I sat and observed and realized that even as a US citizen, as an attorney who knows the law, who knows international human rights law, I was stopped at gunpoint on 4 different occasions in the West Bank, no less, forced to show my papers, forced to get off a bus at gunpoint and delete the pictures I'd taken on my phone in occupied Palestine, threatened with arrest when I refused to show my papers. And then once I did, and they saw that my passport shows that I'm born in Pakistan, which doesn't recognize Israel as a state, threatened to arrest me again. And it dawned upon me that if this is what I'm facing as a US citizen, as somebody who knows the law, as somebody who has access and connections to people in politics, imagine how much worse it is for Palestinians on the ground in the West Bank. Imagine how much worse it is for Palestinians in Gaza suffering a horrific genocide. And right now I think about Hind, the 6-year-old girl who was murdered with more than 300 bullets knowingly shot at her. I think about Muhammad, the sweet soul with Down syndrome, who was killed when Israeli military officials let a dog maul him to death. I think about how in the last 24 hours, the same people celebrating the release of journalist Evan Gershkovich from Russia are completely silent about the beheading murder of Palestinian journalist Ismail al-Ghul. And so I think about the future. I think about what kind of future do we want to create? And, I always think about James Baldwin when he talks about how difficult of a world we live in. And many of you know James Baldwin. To me, he's one of the most prolific icons of American history, not just the 20th century, a gay Black man in Jim Crow America, rising above the hatred and bigotry. And he writes in his book, The Fire Next Time, that I know that which I ask of you is impossible. And I love the way he starts that quote, because he doesn't say it seems impossible. He doesn't say, I know it's really hard. He admits, I know that which I'm asking of you is impossible. And then he continues and says, but the impossible is the least that we can demand. For when you look at the spectacle of human history in general, and of Black history in particular, you are emboldened by witnessing nothing less than the perpetual achievement of the impossible. So I know this is hard. I know it seems like we need to raise an insurmountable amount of money, and we do need to raise a lot of money. As someone who ran for Congress and was targeted by DMFI, I know how much it stings. But I can assure you that not only can we achieve this impossible, but it is inevitable. It's inevitable for ourselves, for our next generation. So take that time tonight to contribute yourself. And just think of your 5 friends in your WhatsApp group or your Signal group that you send silly memes to and jokes and pictures and whatnot. And just text them tonight and say, listen, I need you guys to do me a solid, and each of you just donate $5, and I promise I'll buy you coffee next time. Do that, and do that consistently. And not only will we be successful, but we can look back and say, when the moment called for us to stand on the right side of history, not only did we stand on the right side of history, but we made sure that history remembers that this genocide was ended because of our efforts. Thank you, guys. I love you. Let's go out and win these elections.
Thank you, Qasim. And also, again, going to reemphasize back to the point that Michael also made, $5 is not money that is poor. It's money that you're giving from your hard-earned dollars. And so being here, being in this space, being together is an invaluable experience. So folks, if you can continue to give as much as you can, I don't like to say this, but even if you can give towards to the point where it hurts a little bit because we have a lot at stake. Morgan, do you have an update for us or?
We just hit $120,000. Thank you guys so much. So we're gonna push our next goal up to $150,000. And I do want to give a shout out to the person that put us over the top. That's Azam Reyes.
Wow.
Which is $1,000 donation. So if anybody can match Azam and help us get to 150,000, I would love you real big for that. And it would mean a lot. These donations are being split between this whole slate of candidates. So as much as you can give, we really appreciate it. Even if it is just $5, like they see that those little dollar donations, they really do go a long way. Grassroots dollars is what put the entire squad into office. And so we can do this with people power. They might have the big bunny machines, but we have the mini. And so we just have to be able to compete with that in some ways. So we just hit 120,000. If I have anybody who can match Azim's donation of $1,000, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Go, go, go.
Well, I know that our next person that we're about to bring on the screen, a lot of folks were asking about this individual, and I think that we can actually make it to 150K. People are about to get very, very hype. Again, we have a few more. Yeah, people already know who I'm talking about. We have a few more people that are coming up to speak. Let's get to 150K before the call is over, so that way we can aim for the 150,000 after the call to meet our $300,000 goal. I'm excited to introduce this next person. This person is the co-founder of TYT. It is the largest online news network. I feel like I don't have to give this person an intro. People are really hyping the chat about this in the world, and the co-host of the Young Turks. This person was a congressional candidate and candidate for the US presidency, becoming the first Muslim American and naturalized citizen to appear on a presidential primary ballot. He is also the founder of Justice Democrats. He's been a vocal advocate for both ending the war and the occupation of Palestinian people. I had the pleasure of having some kibbeh and some shish taout with this person in Dearborn at Khalaf. And this person always shows up for Palestine whenever we ask him to. Please help me welcome Cenk Uygur to the Zoom floor. And folks, drop some money in our link as he comes on, please. Did Cenk drop off? I just gave him such a wonderful intro. Okay, we will get on the back end with Cenk. He was here. I don't know where he went. But
No,
in the
he's here.
He's here. Okay.
He's here. I think he just wasn't up here at the top for some reason, but he's here.
I was gonna say the chat was about to come for me.
There he is.
Hey, there we go. Always have technical issues. It's not like I started a digital media company. Okay, guys, it's great to be here. Qasim took my line about from impossible to inevitable. So let me just tell you a couple of quick stories, and then I'm going to tell you how we're going to win. And yes, we can actually win. And I don't mean just in abolishing AIPAC. I mean in freeing Palestine. And I want you to imagine that day. We're going to talk about that in a minute, okay? But first of all, when I decided to run for president, there was a couple of reasons why. One was I was positive that Joe Biden was going to lose to Donald Trump, and I didn't want Donald Trump coming back into office. And when I said, well, I think we can push Joe Biden out, people said, impossible. And what I told them in the beginning is, you'd be amazed how quickly impossible turns to inevitable. It's always impossible until the moment it's about to happen. And then people go, well, of course it was inevitable. And the second thing that I told them we were going to do is free Palestine. So now that I hear is also impossible, but it isn't. And when it happens, it'll be called inevitable. And it'll be because of you guys. And I want to come back to that in a minute. First, I just want to give you a sense of the landscape of where I think we are and how to win. And I think how to win is through media. But before I get to media, I want to talk about two things that happened recently. One is the Benjamin Netanyahu speech. And I just want to say that it was, for me, not as a Muslim American, but as an American, one of the most humiliating moments in our history. So here's a guy who just killed 40,000 people, including at least 15,000 children. I'm going to keep coming back to that number because a lot of people in this country pretend they care about kids until it's Palestinian kids. So 15,000 dead kids, and our corrupt, disgusting, embarrassing congresspeople, standing ovation after standing ovation. But the part that really got me was when he called the peace protesters idiots. So you're going to come into our house and call Americans idiots and then tell the representatives, you better give me more money and you better do it right away. And then they stand up and applaud you. It's disgusting. I can't bear it. And you know what? The good news is the American people can't bear it either. So Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wing government of Israel is filled with enormous arrogance, as arrogant a government as I have ever seen in my life. And they're doing great damage to Israel, let alone Palestinians, let alone now America. But in their infinite arrogance, they think that they're invincible. Well, they're not. And what I can tell you right now, and I've seen these trends emerge, oftentimes, to be honest, years ahead of others. I said there's a video of me in 2013 saying I think Bernie Sanders can catch Hillary Clinton in 2016. And so I said that Biden would drop out, and he did drop out. So, and the reason I see these things is because we have an umbilical cord at TYT to the online audience. And I have amazing news for you guys. Right now, what I see is not only have they lost the left wing, but now the right wing is turning, and they are turning significantly. I don't mean the politicians. The politicians are nearly hopeless, except for the great folks that are on this call, right? And that's why, look, I wanted to be on when we got to 100, but I'll take it if I'm on when we get to 125 or 150 here. Okay, let's keep it going. But because you as a person covering politics, you have no idea how rare these people are. So the overwhelming majority of people running for office, and especially the ones that are in Congress, all they care about is money, donors. And so, but as I see the right wing get angrier and angrier, wait, why are we giving them $26 billion? Well, why did we give them $300 billion over and over again? And I'm even seeing right wingers saying, look, I don't much care about this, and I care about America first, etc. But I don't know why we're giving billions of dollars of our money to go kill those poor people. I got eyes and I got ears, and they're killing them. And don't tell me that it's a mistake. How incompetent is this military? Is the IDF the most incompetent, clownish military in the history of the world? It's the army who couldn't shoot straight. Oh, oops, did we kill journalists again? Oops, did we kill human rights workers again? Oops, did we kill more children and women and innocent people? So now, why did Congress do what they did? They did it because of AIPAC. So look, and I've told progressive legislators this as well, especially people going into Congress, and it's hard for people to believe it until they see it. That place is 100% run by donors, not 99%. So you are not going to be able to convince these people that they should not take AIPAC money, and they will be run by AIPAC money. And now AIPAC right now is, high stepping. Look at this. We bought Bowman's seat for $17 million. And they say, hey, Cenk, you're not allowed to say that we bought that seat. That's anti-Semitic. Well, brother, I don't give a damn what you think. $17 million is enough to buy any seat in America. And everybody knows it. So when they come out and they say to the left wing and to the right wing, oh, no, guys, don't believe your lying eyes. The $17 million was just coincidental, had nothing to do with the election. Really? How could anybody believe that? And so, and you name groups like Democratic Majority for Israel. It's not Democratic Majority for St. Louis, where Cory Bush is running. It's Democratic Majority for a completely different country. I mean, if you did that with any other country, it'd be outrageous. Imagine if it was Republican Majority for Saudi Arabia. Well, everybody would be like, this is crazy. You're going to replace the representative of St. Louis with a representative for Riyadh? And well, it ain't any better if it's Tel Aviv rather than Riyadh. So what I want to do, and this is very, very ironic, is I want to thank AIPAC. Why? Because they're revealing the game. So it's not just AIPAC that runs the place. It's the drug companies, the oil companies, it's the defense contractors. Every lobby in the world, including Big Sugar. These lobbies are absurd, and they control these folks completely. That is why it's so important to get honest people that do not take corporate PAC money, that don't take this kind of special interest money, that instead take small donor money like this. That's why I come and do events like this, because if it isn't for you small donors, then we're not going to be able to compete. So I'm super proud that we started Just Democrats. I'm super proud that the Young Turks audience raised $2.5 million for Just Democrats to help AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley win that first time around, and then Jamal Bowman and Cory Bush afterwards, and all these other wonderful folks now. And we got to do it again. And look, there is an enormous amount of grassroots money. And Bernie Sanders raised over $200 million in his presidential runs. So we've got it. We can match AIPAC and we could beat AIPAC. And the main way we're going to do that is both money and media. So after the presidential run, I started a PAC called Cavalry PAC, because I want people to understand that the cavalry is not some sort of great men who are going to come and save us later. It's not some powerful people that are going to come and do the right thing at the end. No, you're the cavalry. You're the cavalry. And we've got to be each other's cavalry to come and rescue one another. And so now, what does AIPAC do with their 17 million in Bowman's race, 7 million in Cory Bush's race? They buy media. They buy ads. And by the way, that's why mainstream media is so corrupt. Because where does all of the billions of dollars in political ads go? It goes to mainstream media. So mainstream media says, what corruption? I don't see it. Oh, AIPAC spending $17 million. I bet that didn't affect the race. And I bet they did it for general charity reasons, not because they want the politicians to serve Israel. Okay, I mean, you could say insane things like that. And then when I was growing up, people believed insane things like that. Half the country still believes insane things like that because Morning Joe said it. And Anderson Cooper said it on CNN. And by the way, it's interesting how they all rally when there's a giant, powerful force with a lot of money, because all of a sudden Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, they all agree. You're not allowed to say anything against AIPAC because that would be anti-Semitic. Yeah. We're done with it. We're done with it. It doesn't work. It's bullshit. And everybody knows it's bullshit. So why do people know it? Because of social media. So what we're going to do is, so you see me not just on the Young Turks, but I go on Piers Morgan, I go on News Nation, I went on Tim Pool's show, Patrick Bet-David. These are very right-wing hosts. I go on left-wing, right-wing, middle wing. I go on every show and I fight for Palestine. And I think that it makes a difference. And I want you all to do the same. I don't mean in going on shows. I mean going on social media. I mean sharing Instagram posts you like, sharing videos you like, putting out your own statement. And do it on the moral high ground. Do it with humanity. So the appearances that I have that people say are most effective is when I ask them to imagine themselves in Gaza. And Gaza is the size of Las Vegas. They have dropped over 100,000 bombs in this tiny little area. Imagine you're in Vegas and you're visiting there, and they're going to tell, and you're with your family. And they're going to tell you, oh my God, they're going to drop 10 giant bombs in the middle of Las Vegas. How much would you panic? What if they told you 100 bombs? And what if they told you they're going to drop 100,000 bombs in Las Vegas when you're there and your family's there? When I ask people to think about it that way, they begin to go, wow, that is scary. Imagine being there and trying to protect your kids, but you can't protect them against the concrete that's going to collapse on you. And you can't, I mean, you saw the kids burning alive in some of these bombs. So nobody's interested in hearing how, oh, I'm slightly offended. Well, and so you're not allowed to say anything about Israel. No. I am not slightly offended. I'm very, very offended by 40,000 dead people in Gaza. And if you're not, there's something wrong with you. You lost the thread, you lost your moral core at some point, and tribalism took over. And we need to get past that, and we need to speak to the American people as fellow human beings and get them to see Palestinians as fellow human beings. And you do that from your moral high ground. One of the reasons I started Cavalry PAC is because what I want to do media training, whether it's progressive candidates, Muslim candidates, or anyone going into media, and I want them to know how you do this. So first off, just a couple of examples for you guys. We love America. A lot of us on this call are immigrants. I'm an immigrant. I came when I was 8 years old, first generation. And our family came here because we love America. But we love the idea of America. So that's why I hated J.D. Vance's speech at the RNC. He said, America's not an idea. It's a piece of land. And I happen to be born on it. And so I'm better. Well, no, you missed the whole point of the country. The whole point of the country is equality and justice. It's in our founding documents. So we're not going to fight for a piece of land. We're going to fight for the idea of America and the idea of justice and equality. And we're going to win on those grounds because that's what this country was built on. So second thing that we don't burn flags. We don't chant against America. We ask America to live up to its ideals. We ask America to become the idea that we all loved and cherished and came here for, where a Palestinian American or a Turkish American like me is equal to any person here, any citizen. We're all equal. And I know that drives some people crazy, but it's true. And you're in that system. So please use your power, whether it's donating here, whether it's helping on social media, whether it's running for Congress yourself. Use your power. And guys, I wake up every morning and I think, how can we save Palestinian lives? Because every day more people die. Every day. I mean, we talked about the journalists that were just murdered. And no, they were not killed. They were murdered. It was not an accident for the 200th time in a row. Israel's now killed more journalists than every other conflict in the world currently combined. Okay. So, and by the way, is this what they envisioned for Israel in the beginning? It was supposed to be a safe haven for Jews. It was supposed to be a beautiful thing. But now they're mainly known as oppressors and occupiers and the people who will not stop slaughtering the Palestinians. It's gone on 10 months. How much longer can it possibly go? How many more people do you have to slaughter? And how does it help Israel to be considered one of the worst nations on earth? And so, and in the old days, guys, the reason I'm telling you that we're going to win is because I couldn't say any of these things. I've been doing this for 25 years. I'll tell you something I've never told anybody publicly before, and I'll leave out names and I'll leave out organizations. But guys, when I was at a cable station, the person who runs that station called me one night after the show and said, I didn't like what you said about Israel. And I said, well, that's kind of a you problem and not a me problem, because that's what I meant. And that is factual. And I can send you all the links if you like, because I don't say things that aren't true. And so he backed down and I won the day. But there was a chance I got fired that night. These days, there is no chance like that. I mean, sure, people get fired for sure in other places, not on the Young Turks. I run the Young Turks. But saying things like this back in the day would have been an automatic getting fired, right? But not anymore. So now we've got momentum. So our job is to overwhelm them with small donors and social media. We can actually beat mainstream media, and we can actually beat paid media that AIPAC is buying all those ads with. Imagine if their ads didn't work. Imagine if they spend the $17 million and it doesn't matter because we had $170 million or $1.7 billion in social media in those races. And that's the situation that we're getting to now. And ask them questions they can't answer. Those 12 poor kids who died in Golan Heights, right? And they say, well, Israel's got a right to defend themselves. And I say, I hear you, brothers and sisters. I hate that those poor 12 kids died. But how about the 15,000 kids that died in Gaza? Do the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves? When you ask those questions, they're stumped. They don't know what to do. Because what it reveals is they think, well, Israeli lives matter. 34 kids killed on October 7th. I tell everybody all the time because it's true. It breaks my heart. Those are kids. They didn't do anything wrong. It's not their fault. And when I ask people, hey, does your heart break for them? They can say, absolutely. Now, how about 15,000 kids? A stadium full of kids. Does your heart break for them? And the answer to that is that American people in the end are good. And their answer is yes, our heart does break for them. So we've got to get them. We're almost there. We've got America, according to the polling, on our side for sure, overwhelmingly on the ceasefire. But the number one goal we have to have is ending the occupation. That occupation is a moral cancer for Israel. It's a moral cancer for the world. So I'll leave you on this. I imagine the day, I do this fairly often, I imagine the day that Palestine is free. And I imagine the world giving the Palestinians a standing ovation for what they have endured. That they endured the worst injustice of our lifetimes, the endless oppression, the endless humiliation, the endless bombings, and they survived and they made it out. The world is going to consider them absolute heroes. And it's our job collectively here to get to that day. And when you get to that day and you're watching someone give a speech, wherever they might be in the West Bank or Gaza Strip, I want you to remember today and think, I did that. Because you did. Every person who gives money here, every person that helps in any way, shape, or form. America is Rome. We're the fortress. We're the ones with the giant military. We're the ones who decide. We turn America, we turn the world, and we free Palestine. And we're almost there. So let's fight together. Let's stick together. And from every walk of life in America, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, it doesn't matter at all, whether you're Palestinian or you're not. This call, the people on here are people with open hearts and open minds. And we're going to work together as Americans, and we're going to go save those people in Palestine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. And totally agree that we will see a free Palestine within our lifetime. Folks, please continue to give. Quick personal story. You know, Cenk said that people don't lose their job over their activism. And actually I did lose my job over my activism just a couple months ago, but I do believe that I am on the right side of history. And I also believe that things like that will happen less and less the more we get strong elected officials who are on the right side of history into office. And so there was a person named Randy in the chat who actually shared that he will match the next $10,000 that's given. So folks, please, to protect our people in their jobs, to protect our ceasefire candidates, to protect our democracy, and to protect Palestinian human rights and lives. If we can get that next $10,000 to be donated. I have the pleasure. So we have two more speakers, and I just want to say thank you to those two speakers who've been so patient. We've had so many amazing people, but I have the pleasure of introducing our last candidate that we're bringing up to the table before we close on a powerful force in our community. And this candidate, I'm honestly so honored and humbled to introduce this person. When you talk about somebody who's truly grassroots, knocking on doors, making phone calls in the community, protecting the people, someone who's truly running on the desire to just make this society better. I feel so incredibly honored to introduce this person. This person is running for the Michigan's 11th district. So shout out Michigan in the chat. If you know who I'm talking about, show this person some love. They're running for the congressional seat against one of the most AIPAC-backed candidates that's currently in Congress, Haley Stevens. And so I'm again very honored to introduce this person. His campaign centers the people of Michigan 11, and his campaign has evolved into a movement that I am proud to announce, which is called We Are the Answer. He believes the power belongs to the people. And so please give some flowers in the chat. I already see the chat popping off. Please welcome Mr. Ahmed A.G. Ghanim.
Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, everyone. That's an incredible night, and it's amazing to see how many people coming together on a night like that. My name is Ahmed Ghanim, and I'm your people like me are not your likely candidate. You don't see an immigrant with an accent running for Congress every day. But these are different times. Everyone has to step up and has to do whatever they can do to get us moving and to get people going. I'm not going to take a lot of your time because I know you're tired, but I'm going to talk about only three things. First, the first thing is the reason that I personally ran, because I'm an immigrant. I have an accent. I'm brown. I'm Muslim. I'm like the weakest link in even the minorities. And just me running, it's a stand and giving it a statement that we're not going to be intimidated and we're not going to be scared. Because after October 7th, they wanted to scare us. They wanted to tell us, okay, do not talk about this. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be, people will be, will And people like me, especially the immigrant community, they were so scared after October 7th. So I said I wanted to set an example that even if you are an immigrant, even if they're the weakest of the weak, you still can run and show them that you're not scared and you're going to stand up. And this is the first thing. The second thing is our campaign, which is it's an amazing journey since we started. We started only 3 weeks just before the deadline. We had only 3 months in this campaign. And then during this campaign, we were able to organize people from all walks of lives, Muslims, non-Muslims, Christian, Jews, people from the LGBTQ community, people from all the communities are coming together. And I haven't seen that for a long time. All those people coming together to this campaign. It's a grassroots campaign. We don't have really a paid staff. We have only one person that's part-time working with us in the campaign, but everyone else in the campaign are not paid, and they spend hours and hours every single day working on this campaign. And this is why our opponent, she spent more than $1.5 million so far, and we only spent 100,000, and we couldn't been able to do that without the help of the volunteers that put all these hours and time. So our campaign is an example that you can run a campaign, and you don't have to have millions of dollars to run a campaign. You only need the people. If you have grassroots people, if you have people working with you, you can really run a campaign, a very efficient campaign. With only $100,000, we're able to do billboards, ads in newspapers, text messaging, phone banking, and door knocking, everything, media. We've done everything with that because most of the things that we've done was paid by and was supported by the volunteer work. So this is an example that you don't need all this money. You don't need millions of dollars to run. You just need what you need enough, and you need the people. If you have the people, you don't need the money. And the third thing, what I'm going to end with, is the message of the campaign, because we have the right message and the logic message. In my district, this is the richest area in Michigan, in Oakland County, but we have a small city that's like not that rich like other areas. So whenever you talk to someone and you knock on a door like a multi-million-dollar home, and you talk to the owners, or you talk to a single mom that lives in an apartment and she goes like paycheck by paycheck, the same message resonates with them. And the message is, we want to keep our tax dollars home to invest in our local economy, in our education, in our healthcare. The same message was the magic. Everyone understands this message, and everyone relates to this message. We don't have to do a lot of things. We don't have to explain a lot. In less than a minute, we can pitch this message to everyone, and they understand it and they work with us. So our campaign, I cannot guarantee that we're going to win 100% on August 6th. But what we can say is we already won by setting an example that you can run a campaign on a dime, and also by making your message very simple. People will unify with it and will work with it. And with that, we need your support. We need volunteers. If you can go to agforcongress.com, volunteer with us. In the last 4 days of our campaign, we need to make as many phone calls as possible. So we need a lot of volunteers to make phone calls with us. Please go online at agforcongress.com, volunteer. Give us like 2 or 3 hours of your day for the next 4 hours, and I guarantee that we can win this. Thank you, everyone, and I really appreciate being here. This is the amount of love and amount of support that I've seen here is unprecedented. Thank you for everyone that spoke before me, and thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, AG. Sending you love as you approach your primary on August 6th. Before we introduce our last speaker, we're going to bootleg this next version, y'all, because we have a really important message that I think is going to get us to our $125,000 that we want to hit before the night ends. So y'all bear with me. I'm about to show a person in my video. Can y'all see that? Do y'all see who that is? And I'm going to play it.
Looks like the Hulk to me.
And I'm so glad to be speaking to you about this fundraiser. These are all people who are for a ceasefire, who've been diligently for a ceasefire from the beginning, who value humanity and decency for all people. And we really have to dig in and help these folks, because there's going to be a lot of people coming out against them, specifically AIPAC. And we got to get on the phones. We have to knock on some doors, and we have, of course, got to donate. So please chip in with your time, with your sweat, with your hearts, with your social media platforms, and with your communities. Sending lots of love to everybody. Stay strong. We're moving forward in a good way, even when it looks so, so bad sometimes. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, y'all. So you heard Mark. He said, please give your sweat, give your tears, give your love, give your time, give your money where it hurts just a little bit. Because we have so many great candidates that have dedicated their time, their blood, their sweat, their tears to truly try to get, again, anti-AIPAC people elected into Congress. I'm hoping we can hit our $125,000 mark before this last person ends. So thank you to this last person. We went an hour over and we still have over 300 people on this call. I know that when people rallied for Kamala last week, because people are hyped up, and we are rallying for something even bigger and better, which is Palestine and pro-ceasefire. They've gone over it, and it just shows that you are all rallied behind the right cause. The next person I'm introducing is the president and co-founder of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. He's an expert on Islam in the West and Muslim reform movements, human rights, democracy, national security, Middle East politics, literally all the things. He has spoken at the White House, Capitol Hill, and represented the United States as an international human rights and religious freedom conferences. Again, last but certainly not least, please help me welcome this prestigious person, Mr. Salam Al-Marayati, who now has the Zoom floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be among such luminaries in this great movement. And I say movement because I actually started in this work in 1986. So I am dating myself. That was about 40 years ago. And at that time, if we called for a Palestine rally, we'd be lucky to get 10 people. Now you get hundreds of thousands of people. You get almost 1,000 people on a Zoom call supporting Palestinian, pro-Palestine candidates. That means that we have really, really come a long way from where we were, and that the future is bright. And I see exactly, what was stated before. There are two main objectives in our movement. Number one, to restore freedom and equality in America, and ending the silencing of candidates, ending not only the political character assassination of our people, but violence against our people. When I started, it was Alex O'Day who was assassinated here in Orange, California, because he was supporting the Palestinian people, and his culprit remains at large. So we are still working for justice and freedom and equality in America. And for Palestine, we would like to see the holy brought back to the Holy Land, because everything that the state of Israel is doing is unholy. And so stop calling it the Holy Land when we see the devastation, the murder, the barbaric behavior of this government towards a people, towards an unarmed civilian population. And we're violating so many laws by giving them weapons, so many American laws as well as international laws. So we, in this call, Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists, people of all backgrounds today, we are saying we have nothing to do with this complicity of war crimes against the Palestinian people. We want to restore America for what it should be. There's a book that I think we should be giving to all people, in addition to Mish Harmer's book on the lobby, is They Dare to Speak Out by Paul Finley, a Republican congressman from Springfield, Illinois, the home of Abraham Lincoln. And he documents all the officials that were speaking out against Israel, not just recently, but back in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and how they were silenced. And John Foster Dulles, the Secretary of State for President Eisenhower, said, policy should not be made in Israel, policy should be made in the United States. So this problem has been with us for a long time. But I see that this movement here is beginning to make a significant change, and I'm so proud to be a part of this wonderful gathering tonight. And the panel, I agree, has been fantastic. The last thing I want to say is that when we work for this movement, when we see the candidates and you see AIPAC raising hundreds of millions of dollars, they need to raise hundreds of millions of dollars to keep up the lie. We are raising money to promote the truth. We don't need as much money as they do. We need money, of course, but it is like Moses crippling the Pharaoh. It's like Jesus crippling the Roman Empire by what? By the spoken word. And that, so our money is to get that spoken word out there, and truth will prevail over falsehood. So one of the objectives that we have is to declare and designate AIPAC, Friends of the IDF, all these democratic majorities for Israel as foreign agents. People have been saying these should be foreign agents for decades, and they're too afraid to declare them as foreign agents. They are working for a foreign government. They're not working for the best interest of the United States of America. What's happening so far is that American credibility is at an all-time low. Anti-American sentiment is at an all-time high. And you want to tell us that this is supposed to secure the United States of America and be our national security policy? These are lies purported first and foremost by the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu when he came to the U.S. Congress. And then he goes and he assassinates the negotiator that he's dealing with. Forget about whatever you think about them. But the fact is that you negotiate with them in one area, then you go and assassinate. This is mafia. This is not international integrity and respecting international law. So we are definitely on the right side of history. I'm so proud to support this movement, and we'll do everything to support all the candidates. Preston, Nouri, I'm a big fan of Preston. He came through our congressional leadership program. Big fan of Cenk, big fan of all the candidates. Ahmed, Ghanim, I'm with you all the way. Every one of you, Cory Bush, every one of you, we are together in this. And if you have sacrificed, like Lexis has lost her job, that will be repaid manyfold, inshallah. And being together is a great way of starting to help repay some of you who've sacrificed so much for this cause. So thank you very much. Again, really proud to be part of this movement.
Thank you, Salam. And yes, we will repay in many ways. And tonight we can do it by getting us to the $125,000 mark. For all the people that have dedicated their time this evening. And I did make a mistake. We have one other person I would love to bring up. So my apologies. This is me just being in host mode and not watching the people that are up on the panel. I am very honored to introduce Jen Perelman, which it sounds like, Jen, you have lots of fans in the chat as well. Jen is running in Florida's congressional 25th district against a woman named Debbie Schultz, who's one of the most ardent Zionists and anti-Palestinian politicians. And so we're very grateful to actually have Jen on this call to protect Jen, to advance Jen, to support Jen for her also pro-Palestinian, pro-justice, pro-humanity stances. And so Jen, going to give you the Zoom floor. So honored to have you and to introduce you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, actually. When I saw this, I sort of had a reaction like Katie did, like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm being on the same panel with some of these people. And with Cory, I know her, just from meeting her in 2019. But yeah, it's definitely a starstruck thing. And especially with the Hulk there, I don't even know how I can follow this. So for people who don't know who I am, my name is Jen Perelman. I am running for Congress in Florida's 25th district, challenging Debbie Wasserman Schultz in the Democratic primary. This is actually my second time running against Debbie. And I'm actually really glad that I didn't win in 20. I wasn't anywhere where I am now mentally and specifically on this issue as far where I am now that makes me feel like it's an even better position to be in. So I am also an anti-Zionist Jew. And it's taken me very many years to get to this point. And I feel like it's extra crucial, especially in districts like mine, where the Jewish community is very prevalent. And yeah, there is something about people needing to have their hands held by their own people to sort of bring them from the dark into the light. And something that I wanted to share, because I was earlier having an interview with Jordan Cheriton of Status Quo, and he made some reference like, back in 2018 when AOC got in, it was sort of like this dawn of a new thing. And now like the Lion King, and now it's sort of like when Scar took over, and now we're sort of in like this dark place post Bernie where people are just not knowing how to even organize on the left. And I felt like that, and I see what that looks like, this very dark sort of, we're in this almost alternate universe that every day we're looking and we're thinking, how is this real? How is this real? And we keep being gaslit when we're watching something happening in real time. So it's fascinating to me. But I actually relish the opportunity to actually get into a position of some sort of influence in the darkest of times. I feel like this is the opportunity that we have to actually build a real coalition that isn't just based on one person and one candidate. This is the opportunity to build something that we don't have yet, that we didn't get, that we haven't seen. And I think that this type of call is a really important step to doing that. And one of the key things that I think, and we've heard everybody talk about so many things tonight, but I just want to say, like, this is one step in a much bigger mission. And I can just speak for me personally, like, you know, getting into Congress, that's not my life's goal. Never has been, no ambition. I honestly don't know that there will be enough showers in a day to deal with some of those people. But at the end of the day, it's something I'm willing to do as a term of service. But one of the key things that I think where I have a strong suit and why I think some people might know who I am from my podcast, Generational Change, is building this coalition of different movements together. My ultimate end goal is General Strike May Day 2028. And at the end of the day, whether it's the people from the Palestinian movement, whether it's the abolition movement, all of the climate people, all of these movements have to show up for each other, because that is the only way that we're going to win. And we all have the same oppressor. So that's what I want people to understand. Like right now, it's a triage situation, and clearly Palestine is the key thing right now in this moment. But going forward, the way you keep this momentum, the way we keep this coalition is to continue to show up for other people's movements as well. And I think that is something that we have to make sure to do. This can't just be one thing, because after Palestine, it'll be whoever's next. And quite honestly, this doesn't even get into all the stuff that's going on in Africa. So, you know, there's so many things, and I just want to make sure that we're building coalition that even has to be cross-issue. So we're talking labor movement, all of it. And I just want people to see that it is very possible to do that. And so just, you know, we have to show up for each other. And I think Katie even did something about this idea of that you can actually focus on more than one thing. You can actually talk about more than one thing. It's like we can walk and chew gum. But yes, triage, Palestine right now. But then let's remember this going forward and show up for everyone else's stuff too, because we are all in this same situation. We are all fighting the same oppressor. And so, yeah, if people are interested, my primary is August 20th. So I have a couple more weeks. If you are in South Florida and you want to come out and canvass, we need all the help we can get. And obviously all the money helps. I am fighting a corporate monolith, just like everybody else. AIPAC, my opponent has taken almost $1 million just from AIPAC. Just from AIPAC. That doesn't involve her, you know, insider trading into fossil fuels, knowing about the war in Ukraine before any of us. That doesn't include the military industrial complex money. So that and I don't remember who said it, but let's stay on that too, because while AIPAC is definitely nefarious, no doubt, we shouldn't be having this discussion about any of these groups. We shouldn't be having to do this. Grassroots candidates should not have to be wasting our time sitting here and raising money to compete for something so that we can do a public service. So the goal is to get all the filthy money out. And so, yeah, AIPAC is a priority, but, you know, we could start taking on the rest of the military industrial complex when we can move on from this. But so thank you so much for including me. I really appreciate it. I hate to be the one to like wrap this up. There have been so many good speakers. I definitely am no Rashida Tlaib. And I'm a little sad that she left, because I did want to tell her that when I was watching her sitting there, I would have been very happy to be sitting next to her. Although I am quite certain that I would have reached up and grabbed that guy behind me in the yellow tie by his neck and strangled him at some point. I think it was Jerry Nadler. I don't know. But in any event, I hope you all feel somewhat inspired from this call tonight. I do. Thank you all so much for coming on here and supporting this. It's really important. And yes, by all means, free Palestine.
Jen, I know you said that, you feel like you're not a Rashida Tlaib speaking here, but I think you have represented what it means to be truly living into shared humanity. It's really hard, for us to find that during these times. And I think that this is a clear depiction of that. I'm just looking at the panel, like the three women on top of this call. I'm Palestinian and I'm Christian. Morgan is a revert Muslim who is wearing a hijab, and you are a Jewish person. And I think it just shows really like what shared humanity can look like. Folks, I just want to name that we raised $125,000 on this call. It was my goal to have it before the end of the night. And we still have some money to raise between now and some people's primaries on August 6th. But know that your hours dedicated tonight, your money dedicated, and the time you spend dedicating as you exit this call and ask people to donate does not go unnoticed. I want to pass this back to Morgan to say a couple more words and to close this out for the evening.
I'm so grateful that you guys have taken 2.5 hours out of your time to sit here and listen to us, because this is just incredibly important. And I just can't stress enough. I started in politics as a fundraiser. I was a fundraiser in the Southern District of West Virginia that's 80% under the poverty line. So you can imagine that I am no stranger to going up against big money machines and not having much to work with. It was the people-powered donations from people like everybody on this call that got us, to be so successful in flipping more red votes to blue than any other race in the country, in coal country, West Virginia. So for all my rural organizers out there and people who may live in your smaller cities where you don't feel like you have a coalition, you do have a coalition. We put up a ceasefire resolution in Charleston, West Virginia, and our Jewish councilman was the one who co-sponsored it. And it really was just a testament to kind of watching us bridge all divides between, we had Jewish members supporting us, we had members of the harm reduction community supporting us, we had Muslims supporting us. I don't even think that our city council even knew that there was that many Muslims that lived in Charleston, West Virginia when we packed City Hall and they told us we met capacity and they started checking people at the door. I say all that to say, even if you can only give $5, $10, $25, those things really matter. Of course, we appreciate the people who are able to dig deep and give more. And if you're able to do that, do so, because these donations are being split between a lot of candidates. So your $1,000 is really just like $100 going to each candidate. But it matters. And so we've been able to raise $125,000 so far. I'm hoping that once we do some follow-up and you guys reach out to your networks and you text your friends, which I'm asking you to text 10 of them when you get off this call tonight and ask them to donate, see if you can raise $1,000 within your network, because we want to really get to 300,000. We've been able to do 125,000 on this call, but let's keep going. These people have really big primaries coming up, specifically Cory Bush. She's being outspent 2-1 by AIPAC in her district. She's got an election coming up in 4 days, and we cannot afford to let AIPAC buy another seat. We watch what they did to Jamal Bowman. We don't have that to do. We need a free Palestine, but before we can do that, we have to build the AIPAC wall in Congress and in the Senate. And so I encourage you to make sure you keep up with all the candidates that you saw on this call today. That's half the battle, is just getting their name ID out there and letting people know that they are running. It takes money to do that. And so I encourage you right now, put the donation link in the chat, take this link, send it to 10 of your friends when you get off this call today. See if you can raise $1,000 in your network. That's my challenge to you. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for coming. I don't think I have anything else left to say unless Lexi does.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, y'all. Take care of yourselves. Get some rest.
Thank you to our speakers. Have a good night.